Greethy, Trash Fam, and welcome to this another tale of daring and terrible do, as is the thing that is happening with us. Nailed it. I was about to say welcome to Commodore McBiscuits, then I remembered that she's here and I've said hello to her already. She doesn't get 2 hellos from me.
What?
One is enough.
No, I demand a second hello.
No,
Hello.
I shall give it to you at a matter of my choosing.
Most of us are lucky enough to get one civil word out of Izzy, to be honest.
Ah. Look, only if you're the one that wakes me up and then I'm like, oh, go away, I hate you. Wake me up with toast or nothing. I will never refuse toast. Just a little random tidbit about me. Anyway, hi everyone. Tis us. We are back. For any of you watching us from elsewhere, you should know that Britain is currently undergoing a heat wave, and we hate it here. This is your regular reminder that England and Scotland and Wales and Ireland, should have just said Britain, that I fucked it up now, are not well equipped for handling the heat. Our buildings aren't built for it. We do not have air conditioning as standard. I have 2 fans on me right now and I hate it, and it's hot, and we're not built for this heat. I even have genetical reasons to be built for this heat, and I inherited none of it from my mother, so that's where we stand at the moment. Therefore, send us your pity, do not send us your scorn. Also, no. Aside from that, welcome to this week's episode of Star Trek Iskandar, a role-playing game set in the Star Trek universe, run in Fate by the lovely faces of the people you see before us. We run a hot seat GMing system where we all have our own characters and we alternate who GMs, except for on the special occasions where Sable Whisper, who I think is that way of me, will often come in to GM. Big barnstorming, show-stopping, Borg-toting, probably Klingon-inducing, terrible stuff of nightmares. I'm just guessing. But this week has been brought in as a guest player because it is a special one-shot that we are doing, run by our very lovely Kath. Welcome, everyone, to Star Trek Iskandar, The Right Stuff, a one-shot which will, we are led to believe, not run on to a next episode, so catch it here or catch it never, except for in the VODs or I guess on YouTube or, you know, whatever. A little bit of housekeeping before we go for a handover to Kath. This Sunday, for those of you who are fans of various games of trash, and indeed the GMing stylings of Sable Whisper, I pointed in the wrong direction, I know it. This Sunday will be the start of a brand new game, GM'd by Sable Whisper, entitled The Gentleman Strangers, which is a Victorian set monster hunting game using Blades in the Dark, which we're all very excited about. The art minds have been quite cranked to the bone. You know, mine bones. We've been cranking the mine bones, and art is coming out. It's very upsetting. But you know, it's over here, so I'm being surrounded by mine art bones. Gosh, it's warm. And for anyone who's interested in more news about that, they may follow us on Twitter at ItchyCrew. And also, we have reinvigorated our Discord, which involves a place for fans of Iskandar to corroborate. What's the word? Collaborate on talking. It's a place where people can talk, which is, I don't know how you get to Discord, but it exists. I just was always in it. I think I started it or was one of the first people in it. But if you want to get to it, find your own way. I don't know what to tell you. Aside from that, I'm gonna fan myself vigorously and hand over to Kath, who will manage this situation appropriately. My mind bone is cranked.
Jesus.
Yes, I'm also wearing an Odyssey shirt.
Anyway, so welcome, good folks, to episode something, The Right Stuff. What number episode is this? No one cares. Episode 8. That's a fine number. Episode 8s have never been controversial. But then again, we'll see.
Unlucky in the Discworld.
Yes, that's true. However, the 8th Star Trek movie was First Contact, so. Wait, no, yeah, it was.
So, insert opinion here about First Contact, chat.
Talk shit about First Contact.
Get in the comments about how Reg Barkley is awful.
I mean,
He
we all
is
know that.
pretty awful.
So, our story begins. Just a quick bit of scene setting. We are set 6 weeks after Down the Rabbit Hole. Because an awful lot of people have needed to go on an awful lot of holidays. The USS Iskandar is docked at Starbase 220, which is in the space north of the Alpha Quadrant. A little in the vague proximity, but further towards the borders than Beta Z. It is a small outpost, and it is a location at which a large number of staff have been able to return to the ship from some of their holidays. Some of this has included Lieutenant Vance returning, will have also included Ensign Casey and Lieutenant Strange returning from their holiday to Sky. However, it is also an opportunity for the Iskandar to take on some new crew. So we'll set this lovely scene as seeing camera pan, seeing that beautiful Intrepid class ship docked at this starbase with a voiceover.
Okay. Ensign Jonas Traster, personal log, stardate, whatever the stardate is. I finally arrived on Iskandar today, a month after taking the assignment. I'll miss the Delilah and all my friends there, but I wasn't going to get a promotion in the lower decks of a Challenger class. Iskandar's put me on gamma shift, which means every third day, I'm going to be auxiliary bridge crew. Commander Lopez hinted that I'd be scouted by Iskandar's tactical chief at last year's counterinsurgency drillathon on Starbase 13, but I guess I'll never know for sure. Either way, while a Starfleet officer never hopes for a tactical situation, I'm eager to prove myself. And what tactical officer doesn't remember the first time they're ordered to initiate red alert?
I'm sorry, we need to all have a pause to love this new boy.
Oh no!
Protect him.
Oh no, we've got another one.
Uh,
Another precious ensign.
So Ensign Traster, he will come aboard. He'll doubtless have been able to bunker down at least within his quarters, but his first responsibility will be reporting to the Chief of Security down at the security office, which right now is a fairly bustling bullpen where Vance keeps his desk at the head of the room, so Tracer can step in with security officers. There's a lot of shift changes as new people arrive and catching up officers who've been on extended leaves of absence and all that kind of hustle and bustle. But Vance is at the top desk, stacks of pads, the way that Starfleet officers like it.
Should I describe?
Please.
Traster. So Traster he's an ensign, as described. He's a little older than you might expect an ensign to be. He's possibly in his late 30s, I think. There's backstory, but there's no point discussing that now. But Traster's well trained in all of the sort of the Starfleet stuff, so maybe he's a more experienced Starfleet person than his rank would indicate. Partially because he was a non-commissioned member of Starfleet for quite some time. He's a human. He's Caucasian, standing at about 5'9", 5'10". His uniform is very well kept, I think, and he's very proud of his relatively new ensign pip. So when he comes into Vance's office, he stands there with his hand on his back properly and just says, "Sir, Ensign Traster reporting for duty."
Oh, Traster, yeah. Oh, knew you were coming in. Please have a seat. Can you get you a coffee or something?
Thank you, sir. That would be very kind.
Yeah. Vance will go to the replicator, which seems to only do terrible coffee because it's a security office. Comes back, 2 cups of coffee. So, welcome aboard. I'm glad that we're going to have you with us. Yeah, I like the look of your record. I think that we could benefit from your kind of experience in rounding out my team. I've had a few transfers, a few people heading off, and I'm hoping that you're going to be a good fit here.
Thank you, sir. I hope so too.
Curious as to know your goals, career goals, expectations coming out of this.
Well, sir, as you know from my record, I've been in Starfleet for my entire adult life, an NCO for a long time. It was only towards the end of the Dominion War when I finally took the entrance exam for the Academy. I suppose I feel a little bit like I've got people are going to look at my rank and assume I have less experience than I do, so I'm keen not to put myself forward too much. But at the same time, I've got some catching up to do, sir, and I'm willing to take on whatever duties can show my abilities, sir.
No, I appreciate that. It's a lot of people have got a lot of mismatched experience out of the Dominion War. I found you got a lot of younger officers who've missed out on a lot of things due to fast tracking and all that. So, and it's something I've seen in a lot of my staff, or people might be better at combat actions, but less hot on VIP management and security. So I'm hoping there will be a good, well-rounded contribution to the team. There's some duties I think I'm going to be posting to you, some considerations of some strategic concerns, but that'll all get transmitted through to you. Don't worry about that until your first duty shift. So in the meantime, settle in, make yourself comfortable, and looking forward to working with you, Ensign.
Thank you, sir.
If you got any questions, please shoot.
Nothing just now. I suppose I better find my quarters.
Of course. Should be easy enough. It ain't a big ship. So, nice to have you with us, Ensign. Looking forward to working with you.
Thank you, sir. You too. And Tracer will stand up smartly, give a little heel click, and turn and leave.
The scene stays for the moment with Vance. Bit of time passes until Talandra, I believe, will arrive down in the security office. Oh.
He'll squish into the door and be ready for, wait patiently for Vance to be done.
Yeah, Vance is having a conversation with someone about like some of the armory lockers. Notices Talandra wraps up, shoos them. Oh, Commander, what can I do for you?
Lieutenant, something of a situation has arisen, which means we may have to change some of our plans.
Yeah?
I have received an order from Starfleet Command. You are to report for questioning.
I ask, pertaining to what?
I have been instructed that you are not under any suspicion, but that it is believed Starfleet Command and Starfleet Central Security think that you will have information pertaining to the disappearance of one former Starfleet officer.
Do I get a name, or is that going to be just a fun surprise for me?
The name that I have been given, which I do not believe is classified between you and me, is Nadia Kozlov.
All right. So I'm assuming I'm needed somewhere post haste. I assume I need to be somewhere post haste.
Earth.
Earth.
I have therefore decided that before our rendezvous with the conference arrangement team for the Peace Summit, to fold in some days leave off your tablet on ours, that you can take advantage of your time on Earth should your questioning finish sooner rather than later.
I'll see what happens. Commander. I appreciate the offer of the flexibility, but I mean, Earth is Earth, but I've also had quite a lot of leave lately, so if
Quite so.
there's no need, I'd rather be getting back to work. But
Lieutenant, I have spoken to my contacts in Starfleet Command. They assure me that you are not in trouble.
no, I can imagine. I can imagine not.
But should the disappearance of one of your former war comrades prove to be an emotionally trying time for you, we will understand if you choose to take a little more time to yourself.
Do we have any information on the circumstances of her going missing?
I have been given only the information I have given to you.
Of course. Why would I be told? Sorry, I'm not angry at you, Commander. That's just a frustrating thing to be told half a story on.
I assume you will be able to find replacements for your command positions.
Oh, that's fine. Zal can handle the department for a while, and we've got a new experienced ensign who I'm just guess is just going to bump up his schedule a bit more.
Ah, Ensign Traster.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hopefully, he'll be able to make himself useful to us while he's here. I mean, I'm sure he will, but.
Here are your dispatches. You are signed off.
All right. Thank you, Commander. I'll go pack. Right. And scene ends. The two flitter off, because that's the exact word to describe the behavior of these two characters, off on their goings about. The scene changes. The Iskandar remains docked for Kantos, Lieutenant Kantos. You have been scheduled in rather than summoned at some point over the last few days of when Kantos has been around. Athan has expressed, pick a day, let's have a drink over an afternoon in her ready room at when Kantos can slot it in. And this happens to be that day. So Kantos can arrive at the ready room, answer the summons. Athan is there. Drinks will be offered. And yes, Athan will actually gesture Kantos up to the comfortable seating on the elevated window section of the ready room rather than the desk. Lieutenant, how have you been over the last few weeks? I'm aware that everyone's dealing with what happened differently.
I mean, it's not been too bad, actually. Obviously, various personal things needed sorting out, as they did for everybody, but it seems to have gone surprisingly smoothly on my end, at least, better than it has for some folk.
Yeah, some people have had a more difficult time than others. I'm glad that this hasn't been too difficult for you. Obviously, if there was anything that needed to be done to help return everyone to a state of equilibrium, shall we say, rather than normalcy, I'd always be happy to support it. So I wanted to have this as a chat because we've had vague conversations on this topic before, as you essentially became second officer on Iskandar after Commander Anderson's demise. And so I know that this wasn't something that you sought. Since then, you've been rather catapulted into a command position on multiple occasions, which are far beyond what anything I would expect as an acceptable burden to be placed upon a young officer like yourself. The Talarian incident, and of course, the Borg.
Yeah.
You've expressed that this is something that you are prepared to pursue in vague terms.
Yeah.
I would like for us to have a conversation a little bit more precisely about your future.
Okay.
As in, what do you see it be? Why did you become a pilot, Lieutenant? And not something else?
So piloting it appealed more because the attraction of Starfleet for me was always the exploration, the going to new places, but the science aspect of it never quite hooked me in. Whereas navigation, going out and finding those new worlds, those new places, so there's going out, and it feels more like a more hands-on side of that, going out and seeking out new worlds and civilizations we've not met yet side of things.
Have you found it sufficiently fulfilling?
So far, yeah, it's done a lot of what I've been looking for, but yeah, with this whole suddenly being second officer thing, it's kind of given me a bit of a taste for it.
What do you mean?
A bit of a taste for the command role. It's not something I'd ever, as you say, it's not something I'd sought, but now that I've ended up in this kind of role and kind of had a crack at it in a few circumstances, it's becoming something I'd be more interested in pursuing a bit more directly.
Good. Ambition isn't an evil, Lieutenant. People who reach higher ranks, achieve great things, don't do so because they sit around and wait for it to be handed to them, or because they just happen to always be the right person in the right place at the right time. It takes work, and it takes drive, and it takes commitment.
Mm-hmm.
As I've expressed, been impressed with your quick thinking. As a pilot, you understand how to be decisive under pressure, and also you're very good with people. I would like to, at some point in the near future, start to put the wheels in motion for your consideration for the rank of Lieutenant Commander. Now, this is not going to be a swift process, but
No.
before I did that, I wanted your actual confirmation that this was something that you wanted to do, because I'm going to have to put my name to it.
Oh, well, thank you, Captain. I think that sounds like the kind of challenge I'd be looking for next.
I warn you, as we've discussed, it will include the studies which we've discussed, and the sorts of responsibilities I shoved off to you when I was taking things off Commander Solandra's plate.
Yes.
However, there is a point, as you say, it does not require you to know the science. It requires you to know what questions to ask and which of your staff will answer them.
Yes.
Which is far more to my preference as well. Excellent, Lieutenant. Well, we'll have to see what comes up. Obviously, Starfleet is still keeping the ship on very light duties, as we are still, I wouldn't say we're operating on a skeleton crew, but we are still significantly understaffed with the people on leave. And we do have potentially the conference upcoming. But beyond that, I will try to do what I can to put these opportunities your way, which may include, as I say, some further officer examinations. So I recommend maybe you and Dr. Burov can start a study group.
I'm sure Arkady will be thrilled at the prospect.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lieutenant. I'll let you get back to your duties.
Oh, thank you very much, Captain.
Don't you fucking dare disrespect my rank.
They're used to talking to Talandra about stuff.
A Thar doesn't talk to the little people.
No.
I'm sorry, is this some sort of peasant thing I'm supposed to understand? Okay, Kantos can...
Yes, they'll stand up, nod, grin, and leave.
Excellent. So, Ensign Casey and Ensign Traster, you have both been summoned is the wrong word, assigned is the wrong word. A request was put in by Petty Officer Doros, who is one of the lab assistants who handles the astrometrics. As he has been, he has some calibrations to conduct, and he has requested the judgment of he requested the judgment of the Chief Science Officer and the Chief Tactical Officer. However, with Vance gone, this was something which Zal couldn't quite juggle out of, and so it's fallen to Traster for his input down in the astrometrics lab. So the two of you can arrive in astrometrics, and Doros, who is a Tellarite, he is slightly short, pretty broad, big pig snouty nose, little tusks. Tellarites, they're pig space dwarves. That's literally what they are. They are fantasy dwarves, but they are space pigmen. He is at the controls, and he currently seems quite entrenched in some of his work as the two ensigns arrive.
When Traster and Casey meet up, kind of just before they go in, and Tristan goes, give me just a moment.
Sure.
Chief Science Officer Ensign Case, correct?
It's KC, but yes.
Apologies, Ensign. I've only ever seen it written down. Traster. I just joined Tactical.
A pleasure. He'll offer his hand to shake.
Sorry about that. I should have asked someone, but you know how it goes. You get into it, and I had to learn 150 names.
No. My name is quite unintuitive. You're quite right. How are you settling in?
Well, very well. I actually haven't seen the astrometrics lab yet, so I'm pretty excited.
Oh, then let's get to it.
After you, sir.
Step in.
The two step in. Doris is there. He's got showing up on the astrometrics display is the immediate sector map, which, for the purposes of setting our location, it sort of shows obviously Starbase 220, Beta Z. Down towards the bottom left is the area of the Federation Cardassian border, so DS9, the Badlands, and then moving up along the left there is the Ferengi Alliance and the Breen Confederacy within that very difficult way to sort of locate because space is three-dimensional. And also maps disagree entirely upon which one goes where. However, that's how I've made it. So Doris will turn. Oh, all right, Ensign, sir. You're not Lieutenant Vance.
No, Ensign Traster.
Oh, sorry, sir. All right, I guess this is what we've got. Right, so it's been time for an awful lot of the refits of the astrometrics lab, and I have some decisions to make which, frankly, are a bit above my grade, so to speak. Need to do some new calibrations of the long-range sensors, but if we're going to be posted in this area for at least a shocking sound for a period of time, we really got to make the choice on how much I'm going to try to be recalibrating long-range sensors and astrometrics lab to monitor our strategic concerns, i.e. Breen, Ferengi, Cardassians, and or our scientific concerns as there still remain, especially with proximity to the Badlands, a large array of uncharted phenomena, etc., etc. Obviously, Breen, relations with them are still, as you say, tense. But I didn't think this was a judgment call I was prepared to make in terms of prioritization of ships' resources, sirs.
Well, I'm sure we'll be more than happy to help.
The resolution's amazing on this thing.
Oh yeah, we can get everything down to. Let me show you the best scale we've got. Let me show you Survey Beacon Gamma 4. It is in the proximity of the Federation Alliance border. He makes a few gestures, adjusts the screen, and the astrometric starts to zoom in, enhance to just a system-based scale, but it does at least is able to identify the unique planetary bodies of that system, and you can't see exactly this survey buoy, but it does at least ping it in a pretty precise relation to the rest of the.
Look at the asteroid belt there. What is this? 40K? That's amazing. I was on a Challenger just now. We've got one of those old, you know, those prefab stellar cartography kind of holosuite things.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we couldn't integrate any of the bioneural gel packs with the last generation of starships. So whilst the Intrepid class's sensor arrays and processing power is pretty standard amongst any ships of the decade, Challenger, Sabre, Steamrunner, unfortunately, I've got to live off last generation's tech. Sorry, Ensign Casey, I know you know this.
No,
It's
quite
wow.
right.
It's you know, reading the specifications, it's wow. It's really quite something. Anyway, that doesn't help your problem, does it?
No, it does not, sir.
Well, Ensign Casey, I'll defer to you. You're the department head. I don't want to speak for Lieutenant Vance.
Well, no, but part of the reason why you're here is because you've been entrusted to speak in some degree within Vance's expertise. So if you have any ideas, feel free to speak up.
I think Trace is going to get to a console and just start sort of getting up some specs and trying to understand what might be possible.
Casey will do much the same.
So really, it's about a balancing act, sirs. Obviously, we can rearrange matters depending upon the needs of any specific mission, but in terms of specific calibrations, because some of these are calculations and sensor gathering, and a lot of our passive sensor gathering and information gathering priorities. Concerning.
My knee jerk is the Breen, and maybe putting a focus there. If only because they're still quite unknown and, as you put it, quite tense in terms of relationships.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
But the astrometrics is also designed for a significant amount of scientific survey undertaking. Most of our understanding of the Delta Quadrant was obviously gathered by the extensive passive recording of the astrometrics bay, as this design still follows Voyager's specifications.
I see.
But if you prefer to value the strategic basis.
Well, Ensign Casey, correct me if I'm wrong, but the general mission profile of Iskandar is survey/scientific exploration rather than strategic.
That is true.
So there's a principle. So I spent most of the past 20 years working with phaser cannons. There's a principle when it comes to the focusing arrays of phaser cannons: accuracy versus precision. It seems to me that when it comes to the scientific needs of this sensor array versus the strategic needs, they differ slightly along these axes. Wouldn't you agree, Ensign Casey?
I would agree.
You need your scientific surveying to be done at as high a resolution as possible, but you would also benefit from a broader scan. So, for example, 3 sectors, which you can do at a reasonably high resolution on one of these things.
You're positing limiting it down to 3 and making sure that we're getting the most amount of information rather than pinpointing one particular area. Well,
what we can do is we can create 2 standing sensor modes, because in terms of using up computational resources, the strategic sensors only need to be broad and, well, accurate, but not that precise. You know, we're looking for mass transponder signals, high-powered spatial phenomena, things of that nature. If we want the sensor to run both algorithms at once, we just have to tailor each one to accommodate for what each one doesn't need. I don't need to be able to precisely scan 3 sectors to tell you that there's Romulans out there. Whereas you need 3 sectors to be scanned precisely and down to the finest detail possible at distance.
Do you believe we could run some hypothetics on this before we put it into action, see if there will be any merit to such an approach?
I mean, yeah, and I'd pretty much rather that you did run further extensive hypothetics and calculations than any more of your scientific decisions on this ship.
Let's give this model an opportunity to prove itself. Which sectors do you think have the most value to be scanned?
Value from a scientific or from a strategic perspective.
We are going to, as per the mission brief, put a focus on the scientific.
All right, we can whip up some variables. And you start to whip up variables as Petty Officer Doros slowly dies inside, but got his snipe under the radar quite successfully. You dig into things. Astrometrics is discussed. I won't ask any of you more to ad-lib or me how the fucking astrometrics lab works.
Right.
You make it up and it's real, okay? It's a magic space lab. That's all astrometrics is.
At one point, it was used to play a board game. I think in like the last Voyager episode, they were just using it to play a board game.
But it was also the comms array very often.
It was for some reason sometimes the comms array. Yeah.
Yeah. 7 of 9 made it. Just fucking question her. Okay. Do others have any scenes that they wish before we move on? I'm aware that there's been the Sad Boys holiday. If anything else that people want to slip in before we move forward. Coolio's in the gang. I am going to force a scene upon 2 characters. However, if you don't have anything to do, that's fine. We'll move on quickly. Essentially, I'm setting the scene of it is later. It's probably a few days later at this point. So enough time for everyone to have settled back in after their holidays and after their new assignments, etc., etc. Vance is long gone. It is something of a latish evening. The wine NBs have settled down for some of their evening wine, and if you wish to chit-chat, you can, but I'm assuming a lot of the gist of it is... What is the gist, at least, of conversation at this point? Is it catch up on gossip? Is it... I can't hear you, Emily.
Let's try that. Yeah, I imagine there's some catching up on gossip, on anything that we've heard from various people's holidays. Adina trying to dodge the subject of this study group idea, and Alcatine refusing to let the subject be dodged.
So, when you're captain, could I have
What do you mean when I'm captain?
Well, you're on the command track, which means
I suppose, yeah, but yeah, that could be a way off.
Do I get a special spot on the bridge?
You have a special spot on the bridge, Alcatine.
I have the roving specialist spot on the bridge. It's not the same thing. I want a special medical station with a comfy chair and a place to put my tea.
I don't know if any ship that I'd ever be captain of would have room for a special medical chair on the bridge.
That just seems unreasonable. What if there is a
It
medical
does.
emergency?
That's true. That is very
If
true.
you are
Might have to get one
traveling around and someone
installed.
says, quickly, I must have the opinion of your medical officer immediately. And if you do not...
And then you have to go, oh no, sorry, I have to go down to sickbay and get the medical officer
Right?
to come all the way up here.
Precious
to give us an
seconds.
opinion.
What, do you think I can just teleport at will?
No, you have to teleport with Sergo.
That's true. That's true. I think Sergey's been a little out of sorts lately. I can't figure it out.
I think he has, yeah. He's...
Beep, beep. Athanta senior staff. Please report to the conference room.
Oh, they just opened the good bottle.
I know. So we'll come back to the good bottle. It's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, I think specialist medical chair on the bridge. Get the engineers to put it in. I mean, yeah, what are engineers for?
being sad and emotional and flirtatious.
That is true. Well, around the being sad and being flirtatious, they can install you a chair.
I'll put in the request.
Senior staff make it to Voyager. Shit, I was thinking Iskandar. I referenced Voyager.
Well, that
now
got me as quick.
now to Iskandar's conference room. At this point, it still has Zal sitting in as security, so Ensign Tracer is not here. But otherwise, every other character is here, and obviously Vance isn't. Yeah, it's a little late in the evening. But Athan sits. Sorry for calling you all a little late on at the shifts. However, there's been a sudden, nothing disastrous as a development. Myself and Commander Talandra are required to attend a briefing in advance of the upcoming conference due to recent developments along the Cardassian border. We are going to, with the absence of Lieutenant Zal with absence of Lieutenant Vance, request Lieutenant Zal accompany us for, as these may be matters which will concern the technical department on an ongoing basis. It will just simply be easier for you to brief Lieutenant Vance afterwards. So, under the circumstances, we'll be leaving the ship under the command of Lieutenant Kantos. You do have a minor mission. It's the sort of thing which you can handle with light crew. There is a survey beacon in proximity to the Fringy border. It is in need of some routine maintenance. Normally, this would be vastly below the Iskandar's duties and profile. However, with a ship primarily crewed at present by junior officers,
Something to do while we're off-staffed.
make yourselves useful. I believe that is going to leave this young Ensign Traster taking tactical for the period. Obviously, Lieutenant Strange, you maintain engineering. Dr. Burov, remaining position. Ensign Casey, the chain of... Yes, that's fine. So we'll be parting pretty much imminently, and the ship is yours, Lieutenant. Specific orders will be dispatched, but and also information will be dispatched to you, Lieutenant Strange, for the maintenance profile, but it should not be complicated. You're vastly overqualified for this.
I will be particularly interested, Lieutenant Kantos, to see how well this new ensign performs on a active bridge duty. I was intending to fold him in slowly through a more relaxed rota, but this will be good.
Well, hopefully we won't have to put him through his paces too much.
I would imagine not. Very well. I think you'll probably need to depart at some point in the next 6 hours, but otherwise we're going to need at least a couple of hours to disembark. I think so. Dismissed, and we'll handle the changeover.
I know.
See, dinner? Maybe I'll get my seat on the bridge sooner rather than later, eh?
Well, if this is going to be so easy for the engineers, then
I'll come keep you company with a cup of tea.
Much appreciated, Zarkety.
Okay. People filter off. The 3 relevant officers depart, disembark onto Starbase 220. And because it's late for most people, I imagine poor Kantos now has to stay up a bit and deal with the ship.
And not have the good bottle.
Yes, and not have the good bottle.
I stand by it that Arcady will get up a couple of cups of coffee and will come and sit in the first officer's chair. Like, not being unprofessional, like they'll have both uniformed back up, but with a kind of, here is a cup of coffee. I will talk to you about boring work matters, but I will keep you company because...
Yep. Okay. Right. Then the night passes. Let me double check. Right. By about 1,000 hours the next day, It's Alpha Shift for everybody. I believe and assume that Burov is taking the advantage of the circumstances to hang out on the bridge more.
Yeah, as long as Adina's there, they'll stay up there.
It is one, just from the sheer nature of the position, and two, I will assume from a certain degree of Kantos's command style, it is a slightly more relaxed attitude on the bridge.
Oh yeah.
Is it like all those scenes that involve like surgeons where they're just always nattering or like having a joke, put some music on while doing something very serious and technical?
Chattering, they're not quite putting the music on yet. We're not listening to Arcady's dubstep at the minute.
I'm just saying we should all give dubstep more of a chance. It's got a resonance to it, you know. It's kind of the music.
Oh no, I agree. I just maybe not on the bridge. I think it's about where I draw a line.
Tristan, what kind of music are you into?
I love classical. Are you familiar with Britney Spears?
No.
Oh,
I killed the captain. I sense that somewhere the captain has just died.
no, but maybe I could try to use some of my Skrillex recordings for some of it.
Skrillex, that's more 21st century Baroque, isn't it? Sorry, Baroque. I'm American.
Yeah, a little, yeah.
Okay.
I'd certainly describe that as Baroque, yeah.
Tarek is looking utterly bemused, but will pipe up. Lieutenant, Captain? Would you rather I'm calling you Captain?
Lieutenant's fine.
I mean, traditional Nayfaring etiquette entitles you to the title.
Oh, you can call me Captain if you want, but
I would prefer it that they are called Captain. I think it would help me feel more comfortable in this seat that I'm sitting in.
Are those the Chief Medical
What's the
Officer's orders?
Yeah.
We've simply been getting through the profile of the survey beacon. It might be useful for us, I suppose, for us to also have Lieutenant Strange up here for us to consider the plan of logistics.
repairs and logistics, yeah.
Yes, I'm perfectly happy to arrange any of the resource allocation for this, but I would appreciate Ensign Casey and Lieutenant Strange's professional opinions on this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Strange can be summoned. I won't make you do
Strange,
it.
thank you. Yes, Strange will be summoned to the bridge without me having to switch between accents.
And it's a survey beacon, as has been generally discussed. This is far below, especially Lieutenant Strange's fucking pay grade as a responsibility, and it probably ends up with more of a group huddle around. In fact, the engineering console, which does exist on the bridge, it is just off to one side, but probably with Strange and Casey being horrible nerds, and Tarek being like, okay, but we only have one maintenance probe to handle this remotely, and minor issues like that.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. If we did have a second maintenance probe, then we would possibly be able to install additional upgrades, and then it wouldn't need maintenance. It would be far more efficient, wouldn't it? And then it wouldn't need maintenance for us. We'd possibly double its lifespan before its next maintenance. Next set of maintenance was required.
It's not just a double time saving. The time that you've got to maintain and repair.
Exactly, it's saving on the resources in terms of sending a ship out to go and do the repairs, and actually, getting anybody to come out and spend that time actually performing the repair. It just becomes massively more efficient. I don't. Yeah.
Eric withdraws. Back to his post. Pretty much as Tarek sits down, there is a bleep 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 bleep, and he pauses. Captain.
Yeah.
We're receiving a distress call from proximity of the Breen border. Shall I patch it through?
Yeah, patch it through.
You get an audio only. It is very, very crackly. This is Captain Ransom of the survey ship SS Smallwood. Routine survey exposed to an iron storm on process in proximity to sustained damage. We are drifting, lost power, engines losing power to primary systems. Please, any ship in the proximity, respond. I do not know how long our life support or our comms will sustain. Please, any ship in the area, respond. And it carries on in a loop.
All right, Tarek, get a response to him. Let them know we're coming. Who's on helm? Because it's not me.
It's in Chuckletits.
Chuckletits, write it down.
Great.
Helm. Just call them Helm.
Oh, helm. Plot on a course. Get us there as fast as you can.
Tarek confirms that the Iskandar is no more than 30 minutes out.
Good. Good.
May I have a science check from Casey? Difficulty 2.
Oh.
Are the new dice not being kind?
Well, no, really, it's okay. It's a 4.
Oh.
That's good. Remember, that is a success.
That is a success. That's great.
Yeah, that's really good.
Good.
So Casey can, with the benefit, obviously, of the lovely adjustments to the astrometric system and the long-range sensors, start to try to pinpoint the location of the Smallwood, which, even from this distance, at least what he can detect of it is matching the energy signature and profile of a civilian scientific survey ship, the sort of thing which has a crew of like a dozen people as standard. However, he can locate it is indeed drifting. And by the time the Iskandar gets there, the Smallwood will have drifted over the border into Breen territory.
Well, bugger.
Is that a problem? Can't we just message them?
Tarek will pipe up. Starfleet ship crossing the border into Breen territory without explicit permission is in violation of the Treaty of Bajor.
It is.
Just leave.
Well, I guess I'm captain, so I can have that ensign fired for leaving the bridge in the middle of a situation. So, Casey, get in the nearest airlock.
Goodbye.
No.
Up speed. Daring to fire torpedo.
Fire Casey into and over the Breen border. But yes,
This is how I leave the series. Goodbye, everybody.
was unexpected. Tarek explains violation of the Treaty of Bajor.
Can we get explicit permission?
We can attempt to raise them, but
Yeah, give it a go. See if we can get anything quickly.
If there are any ships in the immediate
Anything
area, I will
nearby.
attempt. Or otherwise, going through central commands. They don't have a central command; they're a confederacy.
Yes.
I will attempt.
See if you can get anybody on.
I'll attempt, Captain. Yes, Captain.
Path. Meanwhile, what are our tractor beam options?
Based on Casey's telemetry, you would need to almost certainly still yourselves. The range of the tractor beam will still require you to probably cross
To cross
into
the border.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
But we'd be crossing less border.
Technically,
Tractor beam would grab them and run and scoot back across before anybody notices.
that's an option. You whisk along at high speeds. Can I get a operations check from Ensign Traister, please? Difficulty 1. I'll make this just because you're small.
He's a sweet boy.
I'm glad you said that because I got a 1.
Okay.
A -1 on my dice. So,
Ooh.
You've met the target though, so it doesn't matter.
Technically, the target is 2, although this is a succeed with
Oh.
a minor complication.
Oh, that's
so,
fine.
Okay, the minor complication will be immediately apparent. What essentially you can detect that there are multiple, you cannot tell how many, signatures of Breen ships detected on approach to the Smallwood.
oh, we should have picked higher resolution on the tactical sensors. An indeterminate number of green.
I was saying Breen. One of the first things I said was, I don't like those Breen, but no.
Well,
Racist Casey, can I get another science check difficulty 2?
You may.
it would have been a 1, but you were a racist about Breen.
That's 6.
Okay. It's complete waste. I suppose have a boost if you want to do anything regarding maintaining understanding of the Smallwood and your sensor reads of it and its systems. Note that down because I will not remember that for you. However, yeah, with it, you're only minutes out. The Smallwood has lost all power. Without life support, the 12 people. I wrote 15 here. I don't know why. The 12 people aboard that you can now detect from this range will not survive enormously long, like an hour, not long. Not long enough necessarily for you to have a protracted negotiating chit chat.
Yeah, we haven't got time for chit chat now.
You don't have time to go through channels.
Beg forgiveness later.
Tarek will pipe up with that. He's attempted to hail the Breen ships, and they have not responded to any hails.
Right. Kantos to Linkovich.
Linkovich here.
Are you able to get any lock on anybody on board the Smallwood and beam them out?
Difficult to tell from this distance. I will know once we are in closer proximity, but I will let you know as soon as I can. I am detecting indications of possible minor radiation leak from their damaged systems, which may interfere with transporter signatures.
Of course it would. They weren't kidding when they said their ship was in dire need of help. Right. We're just going to have to duck in, grab them, and then explain ourselves to the Breen afterwards, because I'm not letting them die out there for waiting for a phone call.
The Iskandar drops out of warp. You have just crossed the border into Breen space. A long, long distance away, you can see on the view screen the drifting, battered shape of the SS Smallwood. However, what Ensign Traster did not detect, although he can see this now, yes, there were multiple Breen ships incoming. There are still an undisclosed, undetermined multiple on approach, but one, clearly smaller, a Breen scout ship, has arrived already and has already moved to place itself between the Iskandar and the Smallwood. And it is approaching you.
Signatures are so hard to read.
All right, Tracer, keep an eye on that ship. I want to know everything it does. I want to know if the captain on that bridge sneezes.
Aye, sir.
Tarek, open hailing frequencies.
Hailing them, the captain, but they're not responding.
Let's see if they can at least get a message to them, even if they're not going to respond.
Ensign Traster, you detect that the Breen ship has raised weapons and is raised shields and is charging weapons, and it is locking onto you.
Immediately.
Shields up.
Aye, yellow alert.
Yellow alert.
The Breen ship is heading straight for you.
We will. Right. Helm, bring us to a stop.
All stop.
Can we at least get a message to them and explain?
I can dispatch a communique. Whether or not they answer.
Whether or not they answer doesn't really matter, I suppose, as long as they at least know what we're here for.
Tarek's hands are flying over the console, at which point Ensign Tracer detects weapons fire. A torpedo has been launched towards the Iskandar by the Breen ship.
Right. Helm, try and shift us out the road. And Cantos will stand up from the captain's chair and shuffle over towards.
Okay. You stand up, you move towards the helm as the Iskandar goes to move out of the way and evade the blast.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, this sudden aggression, without comment, even by the Breen, was a little bit more than the helm officer expected. And the torpedo impacts.
Oops.
Ensign Tracer is briefly recalls Breen weaponry in the Dominion War. The things it did to ship systems. Now, Starfleet ship systems have managed to bypass these and stop Breen weaponry from immediately incapacitating Starfleet ships. But it hits the shield, the deflector grid attempts to compensate, the ship rattles, and Emily, please take a fate point as the helm controls detonate.
Oh shit.
Overload.
Oh
and
no.
In the blast, not only is the helm dropped, but Cantos is dropped as well. Hits the deck.
Dana!
From Tracer's eyes, that the Breen ship appears to have been briefly at least satisfied of that as a warning shot and peels away.
Warning shots?
Peels away to resume its position in between the two ships. Burov, I assume you dash towards
Flumped.
Cantos.
Like immediately, yes.
Mm-hmm. Make me a medicine check, difficulty 2.
I think 8.
Cantos needs beaming to, obviously, emergency. Cantos needs an emergency beam out to sick bay. There's nothing that you can do for them here. They need to essentially be stuck in one of those lovely regenerative damn pods that Starfleet seems to love. And whilst Burov themselves could do a great deal, as a medic, as a doctor, they probably are also about to be needed here on the bridge as well.
I imagine what they do is they slap at Adina's comm badge and then lunge to the other helm officer and just immediately order medical evacuation to sickbay and then drop them.
Ensign Tracer. No, actually not you just yet. Ensign Tarek will pause, look at the controls, look around the bridge. Breen ship is moving back. Shield systems appear to be destabilizing, but I'd want Lieutenant Strange to have a better look at it. He pauses, he frowns, and then he looks at science. Ensign Casey, you have seniority now.
Yes, I do. And he will very awkwardly shuffle away from the science console and sit down in the captain's chair.
Yeah, as he does, I'm assuming the science station is next to the engineering one, or at least Strange and Casey are stood next to each other. So Strange will kind of reach out, give Casey's hand a squeeze,
squeezes back,
and then let go as Casey goes to the chair.
Tarek will dash to reassign helm controls to his console. As is Tarek at the helm, with Strange handling now engineering and probably
science.
A lot of the science controls, with Ensign Tracer still at tactical, with Dr. Burov in the middle of a already beset and battered bridge, Ensign Casey assumes command as behind the Breen scout ship and the SS Smallwood, 2 Breen warships drop out of warp. And that's where we're going to take a break. Good job holding you cool.
What a gremlin.
We're barely more than an hour in, and I've already been shot. This is a great session.
Okay.
All
We'll
right.
be back soon.
Bye.
Welcome back, folks, to the latest episode of Star Trek Iskandar, The Right Stuff. On what was expected to be a routine mission dealing with the maintenance of a border survey beacon, the Iskandar, with a light crew complement for such an inauspicious mission, has suddenly been waylaid under the command of Lieutenant Kantos. She went to intercept and answer a distress call from an SS Smallwood, a small civilian science ship which has unfortunately lost power due to an ion storm and drifted over the Breen border. Lieutenant Kantos ordered for that to be met, and, well, long story short, a Breen ship has just opened fire on the Iskandar, has slightly blown up Lieutenant Kantos. The Breen ship is still there. 2 other Breen ships have now just arrived. The SS Smallwood has completely lost power, and by the process of the chain of command, Ensign Casey is the only line officer. Well, is next in command as a line officer. Before any of you ask, Lieutenant Junior Grade Strange is a staff officer and is not rated for bridge command.
I feel the best description for this situation is
so
I hate you.
You're on the bridge. The red alert lights and the sirens are blaring. Helm controls are not there anymore. Ensign Tarek has had to reroute them back to his ops control on the right-hand side. Lieutenant Strange has been taking on managing of the ship systems and the science controls on the far side. Ensign Traister is still at tactical, looking at the information feeding in and spilling in through the tactical controls as Dr. Burov gets the emergency medevac of Lieutenant Kantos and the poor unnamed red shirt at helm, but assesses the situation is probably going to still need their medical hands right here, right now, very soon, as Ensign Samuel Casey steps to the position of the command chair. There is...
I imagine he sits... the Foley work for this moment, this snapshot, it will probably be a close-up of his face, maybe flashbacks to what footage we have of the Dominion War in audio, just to indicate the kind of levels of stress that are going on in this poor ensign's mind right now.
While he is assessing, I will ask for a quick operations check from Ensign Traister. Difficulty 1.
Oh no. -1.
Jesus. Okay.
Well.
I quit. Starfleet's not for
Just
me.
go home, Ensign Tracer. You can still succeed at, again, disadvantage, and what I'm going to do with my I like with consequences, where I will give you confusing and scary amounts of information, enough information to worry you. Ensign Traister is fairly confident that he knows what to do about the ship systems to make sure that something like that torpedo doesn't happen again. As I've said, Starfleet is well acquainted with Breen weapon systems. It just dropped out of the habit of preparing for them after the Dominion War. The problem is that Ensign Traister is only mostly sure and isn't sure how long it will last, i.e. he is pretty confident. He's confident that he can give some, maybe a short-term protection against the Breen systems, weapon systems. He's not sure for how long. he does know that he won't be immediately sucker punched.
I'll relay all of that.
Ensign Casey, there is still more or less between you and the Smallwood, that small scout ship that fired, hovering like a buzzard, waiting. There is the drifting, leaking, battered shape of the Smallwood, and in the distance, approaching 2 Breen warships. Your sensor display indicates that there are still 12 life signs aboard the SS Smallwood. What do you do?
Engineering, what's the status of our shields?
Give me a second, Captain.
You can restore them. They are holding. It was essentially that the torpedo kind of skipped through a blip in the power grid rather than did them any particular harm.
I will relay that.
Captain?
Yes.
I don't think we can discount the possibility that the power is down on that transport ship because of an initial attack by the Breen in the first place.
No, we are going to need to close the distance in order to try and get those 12 life forms back onto our ship. We will need to approach, and we'll need to open fire on the closest Breen vessel.
Okay, so your orders are the Iskandar is essentially to make a full attack run on that scout ship.
Mm-hmm.
All right. In which case, are you planning on evasive maneuvers, or are you planning on taking a full brunt on the shields?
Evasive maneuvers. The aim is to do it enough damage that it has to fall back before the other 2 ships can get into decent firing range.
Okay.
But that cannot be at the sacrifice of our shields. Can take it, but only for a little while.
So you're primarily looking for an evasive maneuver. That's a great time for me to drop my dice. All right, can I get a tactical, a phasers check from Ensign Traster? And I will be making the helm check by Ensign Tarek.
Do you want me to make an engineering check for sorting the shields out?
Not yet, because you are specifically not trying to be hit.
Okay, I would like to spend a fate
Mm-hmm.
To bring about an aspect I know my way around a phaser. Let's make my opening shot as non-humiliating as possible, if I can.
Cool, because Tarek, with gold as his good and red as his bad, just rolled a -4. And his helm is like a +1.
Oh,
He could have done better than that.
Okay. There's good news.
No.
Mm-hmm.
There's good news. I got a +6 on my phaser roll.
That means that for targeting, so the ship is starting to swoop in, and as it starts to advance, Tracer starts to lock on, and with a 6, you have 2 free invocations of for targeting-based attacks. You have no help whatsoever when it comes to your defenses, your evasive maneuvers, as Ensign Tarek sucks.
Oh, Tarek, no.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I'm the pilot.
Yeah.
Except I'm not right now.
So the Iskandar comes swooping in. I will let you go for the attack first, because essentially you are the ones who are striking as you go to full speed, shields up, ready to swoop out of the way of any phaser blasts. And make me a for Mike, if you will, make me a phasers check for the Iskandar. What's good and what's bad for the Breen? I think I'm going to invert it. So yellow is bad and red is good for the Breen.
Oh no.
I say red is good. Okay. Well, the Breen ship, honest to God, just fucking critically failed.
We got a 7.
Okay.
Oh shit.
Nice.
Iskandar, whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah. Okay. Strong start. I'll allow you to have that. And this is the smallest of the ships after all. Perhaps they weren't expecting you to come in so suddenly. Perhaps. Well, for whatever reason, the Breen ship is not fast enough to maneuver out of the way as the Iskandar comes blaring in full speed, with bringing all of its forward phases to bear on this ship. And the first flurry of phasers hits the shields. The Breen ship starts to try to maneuver out of the way. The second one punches straight through, and luck or Ensign Tracer's remarkably good targeting, you hit the engines, and there is a secondary explosion, and then the ship is just consumed in a fireball as the Iskandar just rockets straight through it, heading forwards towards the Smallwood and the Breen ships. The two Breen ships, which are by now almost on top of the Smallwood and are facing the Iskandar. Back onto the bridge. There's a big kind of held breath, a sigh of relief, and then a renewed level of tension just seeing these two big ships and the drifting Smallwood.
Helm stop approach. Engineering, put what powers we have to the shields. We are going to now need to draw their fire away from the Smallwood.
Aye, Captain.
Phasers, fire at will. Try and deter them from approach. Casey to Linkovich.
Linkovich, yeah.
Have you got enough of a sensor read to be able to try and start extracting people now?
I'm sorry. There's far too much radiation emanating from the engine. Must have been too damaged. I cannot get a secure reading of any of the people. I could, unless something could reduce the engine, do any alterations to their engines to change their systems on their side to purge the radiation. There's nothing I can do.
Feed the data to my console.
Starts to feed it over.
Is that kind of a turn, or would hailing the Smallwood at this point be? I suppose we can begin.
Bit of a distance still. You can try the hail, but no matter. I'll just give you this: the Smallwood has no power.
It's probably done in like almost like in Casey's very procedural mind. Now you hail the ship when the ship doesn't respond, and he is. I still have a boost on the Smallwood sensor readings.
Yes.
I am going to try and figure out, basically, whilst everyone's enacting what I've just said, I want to start consuming this data and trying to give Linkovich the help that he needs to cut through the radiation.
Okay, make me a science check, difficulty 2. You have the boost.
That is an 8 before I apply the boost.
Okay, unfortunately, the information is there is too much radiation within that. However, knowing the nature of that radiation, that is something which you would want to reduce it from their end rather than do anything about your sensor array from this end.
What options are available to us in that point? Would we need to board?
You would need to board someone, but get someone aboard, which you do have a precise enough sensor read to transport someone to that location, but you wouldn't be able to get them back. And that would require briefly lowering shields. However, if they could then purge all of the radiation from the shield, basically stop the engine from emanating all the bullshit it's emanating, then you could theoretically beam everyone back.
Okay. I know what I'm going to do, but because the shields are currently going to be occupied, I'm not going to enact any orders on that yet.
Okay. However, just before, as around about this point, the two ships are starting to come up. Well, the Iskandar and the Breen ships are starting to come up on one another. And yeah, without even needing to make your roll, those Breen ships are focusing on the Iskandar. Now, something is about to happen, and you're all going to know what's about to fucking happen, and you're all allowed to be hilarious exactly once, and then afterwards, I'm starting to take fate points away from you. And as you are hailed by the Breen ship. And on screen appears the masked, like the dog face masked of a Breen officer. All that you hear at first is the metallic grindy noise of the Breen language, which then the universal translator kicks in. This is Thot Vran. This ship is now property of the Breen Confederacy. Withdraw now, and we will overlook your invasion into our space. Remain, and this will be looked upon as an act of war. Your ship will be captured, your crew enslaved. This is your only warning. And do you say anything?
This is acting Captain Casey of the USS Iskandar. That ship and the civilians, no, I wouldn't say civilians. That ship and the officers aboard it are members of the Federation. By attempting to detain it, you are yourselves the aggressor in this scenario. We will be extracting our men by whatever means necessary.
There is just the response of hanging up from Vran.
Make ready.
Your goal is to try to engage the Breen ships and draw them away from the Smallwood. And that is primarily taking all that combat onto the engines, in which case, can I have another phasers check from Ensign Traster and an engineering check from Lieutenant Strange? I'm sorry, Strange. For the highest ranked person.
Dare you demote me like that?
So when I make a phaser check, do I make the decision about where to target it? Because I'd quite like to target their weapons, or is that the captain's decision?
That's your decision. Yeah, no, that's your decision. So I'm happy for you to, yeah, considering I generally want you to suggest that you are trying to achieve something specific rather than just fuck them up with your phasers. Yeah, that is the kind of detail I would like.
So being a Starfleet officer, I naturally want to kill as few Breen as possible.
Yeah.
But also, if their weapons are online and we lower our shields for beaming, we're fucked.
So you want to target their, okay, so you want the shields ready to take heavy fire and to target the phasers against their weapons.
It's a 2.
Okay, you create one advantage of, you create the advantage of targeted weapons with 1 free invocation.
That's a 5 on the engineering check.
Which is, I made myself a little chart so I could keep track of this because that seems smart. A 5, that is 2 free invocations.
Hey!
On defense, so to speak.
Nice.
As the Iskandar, as Casey hangs up on the Thot and swoops. I did that. That was my own bad. Swoops around, firing at the Breen ships to try to draw them away and incapacitate their weapon systems. So let's start first. Iskandar gets to strike first because you're nippy. Can I get a phasers check from the USS Iskandar? Which feels like it should be a 1. Iskandar!
That is a -2. This free indication on targeted weapons.
You want to re-roll?
Yeah, I'd love to re-roll that.
Yeah.
It can't possibly go worse.
Mike, no!
That is a 2 in the negative and 2 in a positive, which turns it to a 1.
That is a 1. Okay, let me roll their
Wooden bones.
Roll their engineering. They're going to try to, well, both of their defense stats are the same. Red is good for Breen, I said. Ooh, that is double 6s. However, they get a 2. Yeah. The Iskandar swoops in, firing. However, the Breen shields appear to take the blast. Nothing pierces through to damage their systems. It flicks their shields. It goes off their shields. It was unlikely that your first blast was gonna. And then both ships return fire. So let's do the one from which shot at you first. Which gets a that gets a 4. Please make me a engineering check for the Iskandar as you are trying to tank this.
That is a 1.
Okay, you have 2 free invocations.
I would like to use one of those invocations to reroll.
Mm-hmm.
That is no better.
Okay. You still have 1 free invocation, so you need to do that. Or if you, that means you failed by 3. So either ways, you need to start taking some stress or a consequence.
Let's use that last invocation.
For a reroll or a +2?
Reroll.
Cool. Playing with fire here. And don't forget, you have fate points.
Yeah, I know. I know.
So the Iskandar has 3 of its own fate points rather than Mike having to use his own pool.
Cool. So what's the target I need to achieve?
I rolled. It got a +1 on its that. So it got a 4.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
These are warships. You exploded the scout.
All right. No. This now needs to go to use of a fate point.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to invoke fast science ship.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll allow it to be
I
like.
would have liked to have reserved that for the escape, but
Mhm.
at this point, escape wouldn't be an option.
Mhm.
And does that then give me another reroll?
You can reroll or add a +2.
No. None of these rolls have been good enough that I would succeed with a +2. We are coming to more.
Again, remember that mitigating damage in fate is still a good rather than just. It's not just a flat succeed fail. Degrees of failure really matter.
That is true. But I cannot express.
As evidenced by
how
that
bad
time I
these
tried to
dice.
shoot you all. And
All right, we are now on the second best. I've got this roll a -1. I should have taken the 0.
So you fail by 5.
Ah!
dead.
Okay.
This is how we die.
Let's take the
And
moderate.
you'll need to take the moderate and a stress point.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Moderate damage as you come in, go swooping around. Essentially. There, this is going to be damage deflector grid. As you fire, it deflects off the shield. The Breen, one of the Breen ships, the Breen ship you shot at, just returns fire, and it cracks through the shields. This does not appear to be necessarily the shields take it, but the shields take a hammering on this, and there is something else again unpleasant happening in the power grid of the ship. The ship shudders. The alert sirens go haywire. And then the second ship makes its attack.
Hooray! bring it on! Bring it on!
And, however, gets a flat nothing. Please make me an engineering check.
Can we roll so badly that their flat nothing still hits us?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
We
we absolutely can, and I think we absolutely have. Mike, have you just crit failed?
No!
Mike, you know what happens when you crit fail?
Casey, what the fuck?
Casey, come on, you fucking idiot.
Michael!
Come on, buddy.
Crit failed. I just crit failed. There's no. After fucking
I will
around with so
allow-
many
Michael!
rerolls, be like, oh, I'll play the odds.
This is how we all leave the game, and Tracer just got here.
I will allow you to spend. In fact, you can still spend fate points because you've still created the invocations, the advantages that exist. On say. So in fact, I'll
rolled
let
so
you.
badly that wherever she is in the galaxy, Talandra just got shot in the head.
No, that happens if I roll.
In fact, Mike, I will. I misremembered. I will allow you to have not invoked fast science ship. I will allow you to have spent the fate point against the, all power to the shields advantage, which was created by Strange. But you spent
we
the
had
fate
2
points.
free
which-
invocations of
Yes,
it,
which
and
you
could still-
used, but you can still invoke it with a fate point. Would you like to again invoke it with your second of 3 fate points?
Yes.
You
Yes, I
can't
would.
get worse.
I can only get as bad.
Yeah.
I don't even want to look.
You're gonna have to.
Oh,
You haven't.
It's good. It's good. That is a 5.
That is a 5. That is a succeed with style. You gain a boost against the second ship. Essentially, that it comes in again. Strange's hands are going wild over the controls. The first one shakes the power grid. He reroutes power to rearrange power to the exact section of shields when the second blast comes in. He's got the pattern now, he thinks, and the second one, it just takes it on the shield. The shields tank it, you reckon that you get a decent amount of sensor data out of that. So please make a note. You have a boost against Breen ship 2.
I'm assuming
However,
that applies to Iskandar rolls against Springship 2 now.
Yes. Yes, it is a combat boost.
Yes.
However, for all the fact that you just took a hammering, the two Breen ships are as you do a flyby and start to move away from the Smallwood, the two Breen ships are pursuing you. What do you do next?
Engineering, we're going to need to board a team to stop this radiation. We can't get anyone out whilst that's active.
I thought that would be the case.
That means we're going to need to drop shields, and that means we're going to need to fly smart.
Tarek looks like he's about to have an aneurysm, but nods.
Yeah, Tracer's joining him.
Tracer, focus fire
Strange
on...
kind of settles for a kind of, stoic, resolute sort of look.
Focus fire on the vessel we just hit. Let's try and keep them packing.
Aye, Captain.
Okay. Strange departs the bridge. At this point, Tarek is going to look over at Burov and go, Doctor, are you any good with flying? Are you any good with ship systems?
I am any good with ship systems, yes.
Please take the lieutenant's post.
Like a football team where we've just burned through all the reserves and now we're playing with fewer and fewer.
You're on at this point, we're just B team.
At some point, we're going to end up at the point where we've run out of people on the bench. We have no more subs left, and we're just plucking like random fans out the stands.
I love how English
with
I
the
am, but I was
scarf.
about to make a cricket reference.
Get Kingston, get Alders, get Linkovich on the
I'm
bridge.
Alders. I'm here to help.
Hello, I'm Sergei Linkovich. I'm here to help. I'm not sure what I'm doing up here.
Get that shyster who might still be in our holds.
Yeah, can we get the random Brooklyn guy?
He was in the hold at Deep Space Nine. I've got your character sheet.
Where have
here.
you put
Why
Burov?
am I asking? Burov does have. Well, it was all to say. Burov has
points in engineering.
I thought Burov had points in engineering.
Yeah,
Burov
yeah.
does
Burov
have points in engineering.
absolutely has points in engineering.
Oh, okay, cool. It's not on this character sheet. Whatever. They're
Is that
wherever.
the character sheet I wrote with the character sheet Mike wrote?
They're wherever your heart says they are.
I know where they are. Mike won't be spreading anti-Arcady Burov engineer propaganda.
Okay, inclusion. I can't fucking help you. Whatever. They're whatever your stats are. Whatever your heart tells you, bud.
I'm not gonna be dragged because Kilburn was a failure.
Anyway, moving swiftly on, as Strange leaves to very rapidly try to assemble an emergency engineering team to get onto the Smallwood.
Largely, he's just going to grab like the first 3 ensigns he sees.
Well, yeah, it's half the engineers at this point in time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You leave Kingston manning engineering.
Yeah, we'll leave Kingston behind.
And so you get a bunch of
He's
nameless
got a name.
mooks with you
Yep.
to head down to the transporter room to be ready to beam across the moment Linkovich gets the go-ahead. So, back on the bridge with Tarek flying with...
I opened Arcady's character sheet and I thought, when was Arcady such a good pilot? Nope, opened Adina's character sheet, which would be different useful.
So with Arcady
That's
taking the engineering console, with Tarek with Helm rerouted to his stuff, with Tracer exactly where he is, the only person still where he started. Captain Casey, you're being chased by 2 Breen ships, and this civilian scientific survey ship is still drifting. What do you do?
The orders are... The focus now is on flying. Until the team is assembled, we don't need to drop deflectors. But we aren't going to be able to restore anything because engineering is currently amassing a team. Focus fire on the ship that we've got the advantage on in an attempt to try and force them away.
Okay.
And yeah, that's the focus. Evasion.
Continue to put yourself... okay, sorry, is it evasion or is it trying to keep them away from the Smallwood?
evasion away from the small.
Okay, try to lead them on a merry chase. The good news is transporter range is pretty fucking huge. You're going to have to fight a lot before you end up getting out of transporter range. Okay, so in which case can I have a... sorry, this is evasion, so you're relying upon piloting skills or tanking? Piloting. So I will make a roll for Tarek, as Burov goes, what the fuck, probably. In fact, the transition period is a good reason to do the transition period. And can I get that phasers? What are you trying? It's still trying to target their weapons and
I'm going to fire on the indicated ship, and I'm going to continue my focus on their weapons array. They're forward. I guess they're forward. Do they have phasers or disruptors? I never remember which races have which. Whatever. They're beams.
I was like, I'm going to roll one at a time for Tarek. 5 on the positive dice. Yay! 6 on the negative dice. So
Tarek.
5. Okay, so you have 2 free invocations on phasers. You do not have a piloting. You have nothing on piloting. Because my rolls are all over the place right now. I'm sorry. Yeah, you come swooping around and we'll move back into the ship combat phase. So, Captain Casey, can I get that phasers check, as you have 2 free invocations against and a free boost against the Breen ship number 2.
I'm going to use that boost to reroll. How are we looking? I have got a straight 1.
I didn't roll anything.
As in, you rolled a 0, or you?
Oh, I didn't. I didn't roll. They get a 0.
Cool. I'm gonna keep that 1.
Cool. But remember, succeeding by degrees is also a good thing.
Oh, in that case, let's use the boost to add 2.
You have 2 free invocations.
Oh, right.
I used an invocation to.
But you also had a boost against. I thought you used the boost against them because you had an advantage against them.
You're right. You're right. I will use the invocation.
So that makes it a 5 against their nothing. Okay.
Thank you, system mom.
Yeah, I'm glad someone knows what the system is. I have no idea what's going on, but it's thrilling.
Well, you're about to see the double end of these things as, now this time you're trying to do it. This time it comes about, Tracer mixes and matches some of his tactics this time with a few phaser blasts to try to force them to rearrange exactly where they're defending with their shields, and fires a torpedo through the aft launcher, which hits the weapon systems of Breen ship number 2, giving it the moderate condition of damaged weapons, which you get a free boost to invoke because you created that against it. So anytime you hurt it in the future, or anytime now you don't want to be shot by it, you can do shit with that. However, they can do stuff to your damage deflector grid. And it's their turn. So they are now, both ships are shooting back. And that sucked. Can I get a piloting roll from you, as they get a -1?
That is a 2.
Cool. Yes, you succeed this time, as this time Tarek seems to have the handle of it, and the first, the second ship fires. The first ship fires at you, and it can't hit you this time. Second ship, the one you've just hit, is going to have a go at you, and they get a +4 in total.
My counter rolling again.
Yes, you're counter rolling again. You do have the free boost against them because of their damaged weapon systems, which they are using.
I'm going to take the boost, which will take my roll up to. Up to a 3.
Up to a 3.
I'm going to take the stress on that.
Take the second stress. Cool. Okay. Shots get exchanged. However, you have, this time you definitely came the better out of this particular scenario, as you damage the weapon systems on one of the ships, and it is looking pretty battered as well. You damaged it with weapon systems, you damaged its shields. They barely scratched you. They just went through some of your energy reserves. This exchange carries on for a bit of weaving back and forth, and Linkovich reports that the engineering team is standing by for transport.
Drop shields, prepare to transport. All focus on outmaneuvering them now.
Are you? In which case, I will say that we're going to make this round be entirely about evasion, so that will be checks for Helm and from Burov with engineering to essentially maintain all of the ship's defense systems. Tracer is pew-pewing, but that's all like warning fire. It's not going to achieve anything particularly.
Is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can do to minimize our shield downtime?
Yes, actually. I will let you make a roll for that as well, and that will contribute to that will be a operations check.
Operations, okay.
So everybody except for Mike and Emily get to make their rolls. Engineering from Burov, operations from Tracer, and another helm check from Tarek.
I'm sorry to say it's a straight 0 from me on shield windowing.
Tarek remembers how to fly.
Oh, it grabs the.
He's finally got used to it. He's adjusted the wing mirror from where it was set for.
Deployed the manual steering column that everyone hated so much from Insurrection.
Yeah.
-1 from Dr. Burov.
Burov. And that was no, I know. And you don't have a pilot either doing the piloting. Sorry, was that also nothing from Tracer?
A straight 0 from Tracer.
Straight 0 from Tracer. However, you do get 1 free boost in the piloting from. Bish bash bosh from Tarek trying to fly his little heart out. However, you're not really doing anything to the Breen this term, so they're just going to try to hurt you. So can I get a piloting check from you, Mike, as the more damaged one is going to try to have a go. And it gets a flat nothing.
I don't want to sound smug, but 7.
There you go.
You should sound smug about that. That's
yeah, that's a good roll.
That
Be
was a
smug.
good roll.
Be smug, damn it.
Mark a boost again in combat against number 2. I don't know why I started with number 2, but that's the one that's actually been hit. So like, and the other one is going to come and have a go. It gets a 3. Please roll your piloting defense for the Iskandar.
4.
Bish bash bosh. All right, you are maneuvering wildly as you've set a pattern. Tarek is following it. You manage to evade the enemy ships, enemy strikes as you lower for just seconds the deflectors to then transport Lieutenant Strange's away team onto the SS Smallwood. Lieutenant Strange, you appear on the deck of a battered civilian survey ship with alarms blaring. No, in fact, no alarms blaring.
Yeah, because there's no
pitch
power.
black. It has absolutely no power. This is awful.
Yeah, this is pretty bad.
This is awful. Like, you have emergency lights yourselves, which you can appear. The light of the transporter itself clearly lit something up as you wave the lights around, and someone sort of calls out from the darkness. Who goes? Who is it?
My name's Lieutenant Strange. I'm from the USS Iskandar.
Starfleet, thank God.
Yes.
What the hell's going on out there?
What the hell's going on out there is the Breen, and we are here to transport you off and get out of here as quickly as possible.
Well, great. I'm Captain Ransom. Please do it.
Unfortunately, your engines are chucking out way too much radiation for us to get a lock on you, so we've come to help get that shut down so we can get you out of here.
Let's get to the engine room. I left it alone as it was dead. Let's go.
Go on.
Engine can wait. And he
Got a very capable doctor who I'm sure will be able to sort your crew out.
He starts to lead you down to the engine room of this like 3-decked ship. It is probably more like 2 decks. In fact, it is tiny, especially compared to what you're used to. That's your scene. As we'll end with you being led through this pitch black ship, nothing, to eventually see a dead, small warp core. Back on the Iskandar, Captain Casey, the undamaged Breen ship, has peeled away. It appears that they detected your transport and is barreling down towards the Smallwood.
Focus fire on that vessel. Pursue. Get it away from them.
You move into the next phase. Can I get phaser check? And I will include a helm check.
2 on phases.
You create 1 free phases invocation. You still don't have a piloting invocation. Tarek, he's all over the place.
Boop, 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 boop.
Still needs to adjust the seat so you can actually reach the pedals properly. He's having difficulty with the clutch.
You peel away from the damaged ship to pursue the undamaged ship, which is barreling towards the Smallwood. Can I get a phases check from the Iskandar?
I'm on a 2.
They critically succeeded.
Phase
And they are...
to
No, you can't. Well, they've critically succeeded, so they've got +6. So what would you like to do to try to beat a +6? Reroll?
Pray to a new deity.
Okay. Like, it's not like this is just you don't hit them.
Yeah, that's fine.
And they open fire on Smallwood.
Oh, the Smallwood, who has no shields or evasion or anything at all. The Smallwood, which is just a metal box.
My boyfriend's
Containing-
on there.
Yeah.
They
Was.
so
He's now scattered across, a stretch of space in front of you.
No. I mean,
Okay.
they almost critically succeed.
Oh,
Again, they get a 5 and a 1 this time. However, it appears... I'm not sure Casey will realise this. Casey will just see the ship opening fire on the Smallwood, and the Smallwood is still there afterwards.
Jesus Christ.
Traister will realise that was deliberate. They could have destroyed the Smallwood. They have hit it. They have more likely painted its hull.
Captain, they were deliberately firing to scare us off. That was a deliberate, non-destructive hit. A warning shot. Next time, I don't think they're going to warn us.
And the other ship opens fire on you. Can I get a piloting check? They get a flat nothing this time.
I'm on a -2.
Okay.
Free phases invocation to bring it up to an equals 0.
No,
No,
you're being
cool.
shot at.
That's fair. That is entirely fair. But we do have a boost against number 2. From the previous round.
So this is the
Oh, then.
No,
yeah.
sorry, you're right. This is the damaged one. Actually, no, the damaged one is coming for you. You do have a free boost against it. You may reroll or make it even.
Make it even.
Okay, make it even. As you're doing that, you're being shot at, and the shields. The shields, in fact, this time are what takes it in the end, as you've damaged their weapon systems. Lieutenant Strange, the ship rocks. He's probably never been in a ship being hit like this before.
No.
Like energy on an undamaged hull when he's this close to the outer hull.
Yeah, no, this is different. So he probably stumbles and probably actually falls over, as I suspect to most other people, because it's quite a hit, and we can't do anything about it.
First thing to do is going to be at least to try to restore emergency power.
Yes.
In the dark. So can I get an engineering check difficulty 3 under the shitty circumstances you are in? So you need a 4 or higher.
8.
Yeah. This is why I wasn't that worried about sending that shit on you. You get to work and you're pretty
a 3
sure.
I could have missed quite badly.
Yeah. You get to work and you're fairly confident you can start to get emergency power back online. Casey, you have a damaged ship on your tail. You have the undamaged one, which has just chosen. Maybe they're playing with you. Maybe they're playing with the Smallwood. Maybe they like the fact that you chased the Smallwood around, but they didn't destroy the Smallwood. And they're coming around to face you. And now you have got yourself with a ship at your fore and a ship at your aft.
Where is the as of yet undamaged ship?
In front of you.
I imagine once the Smallwood is hit, he stood from the captain's chair, and now he is pacing. Full stop. Restore shields to the aft. Return fire forwards.
Okay. Can I get an engineering check off Arcady and a phasers check off Traster?
Yes, you can. You can have a 6 on phasers from Traster.
That's a +1.
Good job.
Go team!
Arcady pushes the buttons, a green line appears, and they go, ah!
Oh! So what was that for Traster?
6, please.
Cool. So that is 1 free engineering invocation and 2 free phasers invocation as you shoot forwards at the undamaged ship.
Nice.
So you said return fire, actually, did you say? So you're shooting at the ship, at the damaged ship.
Yeah,
yes.
I want to immobilize that thing's weapons array. If we've got them both battered.
No, you've only got one of them battered.
Yeah, so you want my intention is for both of them.
So you are aiming for the undamaged one in front of you. Cool. Yeah. Cool. Make me the phasers check.
Come on, Iskandar. That's a 2.
They get a 4. Sorry, they get a 3, but they still get a 3.
We've got 2 free invocations on the phasers. Could both be applied?
Yeah.
Apply both.
So you want to make that a 5?
7? Would it be? No, sorry, I'm mixing up rolls. Ignore me.
Yeah, let's make it a heavy punch. We don't when we start taking damage again, we're kind of fucked. Yeah. So let's make it a heavy punch.
Sorry, they got. What did I say? They got a 3. What did you get?
I got a 1.
So you're going to spend 1 to make it a 3, and then 1 to make it a 5.
Yes.
So you succeed by 2 shifts. Okay, that's going to eat up their stress. You return fire at them. You come to a stop, kind of again, probably hovering quite protectively near the Smallwood. As you slow and open fire torpedo spread at the ship in front of you, which its shields take a significant hammering.
That's a good question. That's not a Tracer question, but a general.
Yeah.
Maybe Casey would think of this. Do we have enough in our battered shield array to try and get a shield around the Smallwood? Or would that be really stretching what we've got left? Because I know our shields have taken a hit.
You do have a damage deflector grid.
A good engineer could probably do it.
Yeah.
It's not. Yes, I will say, in fact, certainly with the crew you have, maybe Tarek could do it if Tarek weren't flying.
Right, yeah.
Not the
I like that idea. Thank you for that idea.
Right. However, it's their opening fire on you. Remember, you have the one engine invocation.
But also extending the shield weakens the shield, so it might not have been the best idea anyway.
It would essentially give them.
You
a
can't
boost
just
against
push
you.
them out infinitely.
Not with that attitude.
That's right. It's strange we're here. I bet we could find a way.
Talk to us, Captain. What can we do?
The ship in front before you returns fire with a +5 on its phases.
Yark.
Please make me a engineering check as you are trying to tank this. You have 1 engineering invocation.
Oh, what does that mean?
That means that no, sorry. This is Mike's making an engineering check, and you gave him a potential boost by succeeding earlier. Sorry, I meant engineering for the Iskandar has similar skills.
I was enjoying being a chief engineer for a bit.
I'm sorry, Mike.
I'm sitting on a 2. Let's talk about this invocation.
Do you want? Yeah, use it. What did I say they're on? They've got a 5. They're sitting on a 5. You're sitting on a 2. What would you like to do?
Roll?
Do you want to re-roll or do you want to add a +2?
Re-roll.
Yeah, hell for leather.
Hell for leather. Let's do a re-roll.
No, you weren't supposed to listen to me.
Yeah, we're bad influences, Michael.
Oh man, that's a shame.
Damn it, I wasn't paying attention while Shoulder Devil and Shoulder Demon were there giving advice.
You've got to beat a 5.
Listen to.
That shit.
We're good people.
We are good gremlins.
The engines light up. Burov is looking at a light show on their display, but the engines, the shields remain steady, and then the ship from behind opens fire. With a flat 2.
Three.
Somehow I think you did it, Captain.
Live to fight another minute.
Yeah, these hits are coming in. They are flashing over your shields. You are still here.
So are both of them, of course.
Ensign Traster, please make me an operations check.
Okay.
Difficulty 1.
Captain, though, I'm not sure that we can do another stunt like that.
Jesus Christ.
I don't think we can.
It's a -2.
Okay, that's fine. Nothing happens of which you are aware.
Hooray! That's good. Ignorance is bliss.
I'm gonna get rid of this stats.
You miss on your next shot and shoot the small one.
I don't even know what LCARS is anymore.
Within that round of activity, Strange, you can start to get the emergency power up. And you can start the process of trying to essentially vent the radiation, filter out the radiation with the systems, because that's what a ship's engines systems are supposed to be able to do. But this is a process.
Yep. It's going to take time.
It's going to take. You think that actually to get this to a point where a transport can happen, it's going to take 10 minutes.
What?
Anything that I can do to cut that down?
Maybe you can shave,
even if it's something like,
a minute.
Just chuck the warp core out. If that's
but that wouldn't get rid of the ambient radiation already.
It wouldn't get rid of the ambient radiation, but it would stop the ambient radiation being added to while we're trying to vent it, and that might bring the time down.
That might save you a minute. And also, however, that runs the risk of you're on emergency power. Jettisoning the warp core is a risky thing to do with your power array. Essentially, so it's a gamble. If you need more power, you won't be able to get more power, but it would stop it from emanating more shit at you.
How long do we reckon we've got on life support and everything like that?
I mean, the good news is that, well, actually, now that you've got emergency power backup, life support returns to being within the hours.
Cool. So that's not a problem.
Yeah.
So it is just having enough power to keep doing the radiation sorting stuff. What other sources of power have we got if we did chuck the warp core?
The emergency power reserves, that's it.
That's it. Okay, well, we've at least now got
batteries.
We've now at least got the batteries. I'll leave the warp core in for now, and then if things start looking tight and we've got down to the point where it's there's 4 minutes left, if we're only shaving off 1 minute, Then we'll leave the warp core in until we're getting to kind of the crunch point, and then go, okay, we're nearly done. Yeet.
I assume this gets reported back to the Iskandar.
Yes.
How long does 10 minutes translate roughly into rounds of exchange?
Probably closer to 10 rounds.
Okay, yeah.
A long time.
We're kind of on roughly around a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's better than it being D&D and it's being,
Yes.
100
No, this is meant to consider a decent scene of exchanges. So yes. Do you want to tell Casey?
I was actually going to chime in for a report.
Yeah, do it then.
So there will be a Lieutenant Strange report.
It's going to take about 10 minutes to get this radiation out of here. I can maybe shave a minute off if I chuck the warp core out, but I think it's going to be better to leave it in until we get to the crunch point, because if I chuck the warp core out and we suddenly lose power again, then we're not getting this radiation out at all.
Work as safe as you can. Keep me informed.
Will do.
We'll highlight 10 minutes in combat is a long fucking time.
Yep. Oh, he doesn't need to know that.
Yeah, just making sure that Casey is aware of a thing he would be aware of.
Can I do a quick check on the power reserves for the ship that's probably been quite battered about? We have 10 minutes?
Your shield array's pretty fucked. Like, you've been running on luck and shoestrings, but you have a damaged deflector grid. Your shield power reserves are quite low. Your shields are down to about 20%. And with the damage to the deflector grid, you can't really restore that.
Captain, not to be that engineer, but I don't think we have 10 minutes.
We don't have 10 minutes of defense in us. Full offensive. Open fire.
Aye, Captain.
Which ship are you heading for?
We started good on number 2. Let's take number 2 out. If we can stop that amount of damage coming into us round by round, then that's going to be what clinches it.
Are you aiming for do you want to tank this or evade defensively? Evade. Cool. Then can I get the phases check from Traster and what he's specifically trying to achieve? Whilst we're going to see whether or not Tarek can fly this round.
Realistically, is it easier to carry on? Are we more likely to see carry on battering their weapons, or is there something I can do to their sensors? Can I blind them?
You could, I mean, a short-term way to blind their sensors are things to do, but if you want to leave them with more serious damage, you want to hit their systems, and you're probably not sure where the Breen keep their targeting systems.
Short-term blind doesn't help us much because there's nothing we can do in a short term. We can't.
No.
And I think I'm just going to keep going at their weapons then.
It's weapons or engines are always a good bet.
Yeah, engines are always a good bet.
We're not.
Weapons.
I'm going to keep on weapons, yeah.
Yeah. No, weapons are also a good bet.
We're on the defensive here. Their mobility, they could become turrets if we steal them.
The good news is that Tarek Rock kicks fucking ass this time, and you get 2 pilot invocations.
I am so sorry. I can't.
You critically
failed, haven't
it's you? A critical
fate point.
Yes. Do you want to spend a fate point?
How do I do that? I don't.
Do you have any
aspects that can help me? But
you don't think you have any aspects that can help you?
I don't know. Can I can only tag an aspect once?
Yes.
Oh dear.
I can't really bend anything around it.
Oh, you've done it once already. There we go. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
I'd love to try, but I think it would be taking the piss if I did. Sorry.
Yep, but you get
that's fair. I didn't know what your aspects were.
2 free invocations of a piloting check as you come around to try to fucking kick off on number 2. Make me that phasers check.
Don't love it. That's a -2.
They get a 1. As you come to swoop around to try to get number 2 with it, it just hits their deflector array, and number 2 will return fire.
Is there anything I can do power-wise to make the shields better?
At this point, we're focusing on
on
the
Iskandar
evasion.
phase.
Yeah, we're on the evasion phase this time. So, they critically succeed on their attack, which makes it a 7.
God,
You have 2 free piloting invocations, however. Please make the roll.
I have made the roll.
Yeah.
We are sitting on a 5.
Ooh.
I'll use one of the free piloting invocations, bring that up to match.
Okay.
Is it worth going over? Oh, no, there's still another
No,
one.
it doesn't make a difference. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, match. Keep the other one for the other one.
Yeah, the other
hold
one's going to
off.
shoot. They open fire, and Tarek somehow just there's 3 torpedoes heading for you, and Tarek just winds the ship in between them as the other ship opens fire. The +5. Please make the piloting check.
I got a 2. I'm going to use the invocation to bring that to a 4, and we're going to take a minor consequence.
Okay.
I'm glad you can't see the ship's character sheet. I'm glad that's just
Take a
fine.
-2 hull breach,
Oh,
which
good.
is minor because it doesn't necessarily affect any of your ongoing capacity to fight. As
Is I imagine Dr. Gorov gets rolling casualty reports.
yeah,
What how we
Tarek dodges the torpedoes coming at the front. And as he makes this excellent maneuver, it unfortunately means that he can't dodge 2 of the incoming blasts at once, as you take a serious blast to the aft, which is gonna hit deck 5 at the rear.
That's where I live. All my stuff's in
And
there.
it takes a few moments. It's strange, the idea how lives suddenly get transformed into data as there is the hit. Burov registers impact deck 5, hull breach. Long, what feel like minutes, but are definitely just seconds pass as reports of emergency bulkheads are coming into place. And the ship only ever offers estimates because it is not the ship does not have the right to declare that people are dead. But
That's
based
gross.
on the internal sensors, the estimation is that you have just lost 5 crew members. Immediately, just
5 crew. Deck 5 is rapidly becoming inaccessible, Captain. Sick bay reports numerous injuries.
yeah, you have casualties, minor casualties, cropping up on all decks from the damage you've taken.
Orders, Captain.
We stop fighting, and we can only give them minutes. We keep fighting, and we have an opportunity to turn this around. Maintain the course.
And as you pivot to face these 2 warships, one of them battered, one of them not so battered, the thing that Ensign Jonas Tracer did not notice previously occurs as a 3rd Breen warship appears, drops out of warp a distance away.
That's the worst news.
Captain? Sir, I need an order.
Maintain the course.
Aye, sir.
What is your goal?
We have the best opportunity to get through this if we have only one source to defend against.
Mm-hmm.
We need to take out the weapons of the 2 existing ships before the 3rd ship gets in phaser range.
One of the ships has battered shields. The other ship has not great shields and a nastily damaged weapon system. The other one is not here. The 3rd one is not yet closing. It will not arrive this round. You do not know when it will arrive because Jonas Tracer botched that check.
Battered shields does not have any damage on the phaser array.
Nope.
We need to take out that phaser array.
Bear in mind, it's been a battered phaser array. It's still been damaged. It's not weapons from the other one haven't been gone. They've hurt you a couple times still.
No, but with the battered shield, we've got more opportunity to take out their phasers.
Essentially, that is a fate point you can use against them. So, do you want to fly? Do you want to bake Tarek boost or Arcady boost defenses?
Arcady.
Arcady, make me an engineering check. Jonas Tracer, make me a phasers check to try to target the weapons array on the lead ship.
This is the weapons array, the as yet undamaged weapons array.
Yes.
A 4 on the phasers.
One free invocation. Sorry, Arcady, you're muted.
I don't think I did very well. I want to re-roll it, but the aspect that I think I'm going to tag to make the re-roll work means that Arcady is not an engineer.
Yep.
And Arcady is, I think, having kind of a panic at their console, which means I want to hear what Casey says to help them suppress their panic in order that they can re-roll their never let the sadness fester talent, because they are basically stood there kind of doing that thing where they're deer in a headlights thing at instructions they don't fully understand.
Yeah, you give the order and Borov basically gives a bit of a babble of a response as they're slightly not even sure which problem to focus on.
I have a two to allocate to I don't think I have permission to do that. No, I
Commander Borov. I said commander. That's wrong. That's weird.
You're in charge now.
Dr. Borov. We stop, we sink. We've lost 5 already. They should not die in vain.
What if we all die in vain, Casey?
We die in vain if we stop. We do not stop.
+1. Hey! Better than I got before.
You're heading for undamaged Breen ship. Mike, make me that phasers check. You have a free invocation.
That is a 3. Ooh, I'd like to invoke to bump that up to a 5, please.
Okay. Yeah, that's. You hurtle in on the lead Breen ship. You open fire. Its battered shields do not withstand the blast. And you do a scorching damage across what Tracer reports is their power grid. It's not a decisive blow, but it's going to make it a little difficult for them to be maneuverable in the things that be flexible in the things that they're doing. However, as you're hurtling in, they shoot back. That's a 2.
5.
Okay. shoot in. Your failing shields still hold against their returned fire, and the other ship opens fire. That is a 4.
That is a 3.
You still actually have that 1 free invocation, however.
I like to boop that up to a 5.
You exchange shots with the Breen ships. They come out worse of it this time. Aboard the Smallwood, Lieutenant Strange is working by torchlight and emergency lighting to try to vent the radiation. Lieutenant Casey, make me an engineering roll.
Oh, I looked at the ship stats there. That's not.
Yeah, this is just a Casey roll.
You're not the ship.
That is a 5.
Yeah.
Okay. If in 9 minutes' time, Strange... This ship is probably not going to be able to afford to lower its shields to beam everyone back off the Smallwood once all the Strange is currently achieving is making it a beamable location.
And there is nothing we can do on our side to help Strange. That has been long established.
Nope.
We couldn't do that with Strange on the ship.
Strange is on the ship. Strange is doing what Strange can do to the ship, but you can't beam anyone over there. You can't beam anyone back. You can beam people over there because you don't need to pick up life signs to beam someone over there.
But we categorically cannot retrieve anyone from the ship.
You will not be able to transport. You will not be able to use the transporters to recover anyone from that ship without a miracle keeping you fighting fit against the 2 current ships and a 3rd. If it were ready now, maybe, but it's not. Tarek looks up. Orders, Captain?
What's the status on our shields?
Shields are about 25%. 20. We've got maybe 1 good barrage if we're hit hard.
How long until the 3rd ship gets to us? Within phaser range?
A minute.
They're not good odds. Casey to Lieutenant Strange.
Strange here.
Maintain what you're doing. You are liable to be boarded by the Breen. Surrender to them. That's an order.
Understood, Captain.
Helm, get us out of here.
Captain.
So?
There is no more fight left in us.
Captain, there are 17 souls on board. That ship.
How many aboard ours?
Just less than 150, sir.
Captain, there's a sincere risk that ship will not be boarded. It will just be destroyed.
Don't mean to be crass, but that's not necessarily a worse fate than being enslaved by the Breen.
If we leave now with all the information that we have an opportunity to retrieve. They have already said in their opening transmission that they required the ship to be property. We have no more fight in us. One more good hit, and the Iskandar is no longer operational. Helm, get us out of here.
Setting course, sir. And as you try to disengage, we have one more round of combat. Maybe more, depending on how badly a job you do at disengaging. So, can I get an engineering check from Barov? And we see if Tarek remembers how to fly today. Tarek does not remember how to fly today.
Oh no.
It seems everyone's doing one today.
So, no free invocations as you try to fly away.
I think with a critical botch, like the panel's just fused.
Yeah. And the 2 Breen ships come for you as you try to run. The first one. That's a 5 on its phaser blast.
That is a 3.
Do we not still have boosts from the damaged weapon systems?
This is the one where you did the damage power grid. So yes, actually you have a free boost because you did that to it. So you may re-roll that one. You don't have the other one.
I'm going to take
This is
that
one that
and I re-roll. 5.
You match it. As the first Breen ship that you've just damaged comes powering in behind and opens fire. However, whilst it hits the shields, its power grid is still heavily fluctuating. Its weapons fire is less effective, and the shields essentially go down another 5%. The other ship opens fire. 6 and a 2. So that is a +6.
3.
I don't think you got anything left in you, do you, except for that major?
Major.
As you run...
Ben, is this not the one? So there's
You
one with
used
damage
that
power grid.
boost.
We've used that boost. Got it.
Mhm.
Well then.
As you're turning to run, the second ship opens fire and hits, and the ship lurches. Things go flying. Ensign Traster, the last thing you see is a blaring white light as the tactical console overloads and sends the ensign flying. And as Tarek just about keeps his seat as explosions rock the bridge, he turns, he looks back in Casey and says, "We've lost warp drive."
Abandoned ship. And he remains seated.
The order goes. The alert blare. People start to run through corridors. What does Burov do?
You said that Traster was sent flying.
Yeah, Tracer is down.
If people are fleeing the bridge,
Tarek's fucking going.
Burov will command 2 of the...
You can command Tarek as one of them, yeah.
security tactically people to carry him to an escape pod.
Tarek will help because there aren't many people left on the bridge now.
And then we'll run to Casey. Captain, we have to go.
Yes, you do.
Samuel Casey, you are not the captain of the ship. You're under no obligation to act in this way. Come on. We need you.
You need to get on an escape pod.
There are escape pods aplenty
You have
for
an
all.
order, Doctor. Abandon ship.
How are you feeling, Sam?
I've had better days, Doctor.
I think we all have. Be thinking of you.
Be well.
Burov leaves. Casey gets a few moments as the doors shut. There are fires raging. The red alert siren's still blaring. He looks down at the display heading towards the captain's console. Because he can't see through the view screen because the Iskandar's just drifting now. 2 escape pods away. 4. 8. The small wood has exploded. 15. 1 escape pod is shot. 2. Then a torpedo just cracks straight through the bridge. Casey is aware of the light, the ceiling of the bridge blaring open before seconds later an emergency force field comes in, wavers, and dies. And as it fades away, it's not just the darkness of space, but the yellow lines as a voice of Commander Talandra says, computer end program. And the yellow lines expand to show the holodeck. Stood in the holodeck, it's yourself, Ensign Casey, is Lieutenant Strange, Ensign Traister, Dr. Burov, and by the entry arch, holding a pad, Commander Talandra.
Commander Traister, I assume we are quite complete here.
I believe so, Commander. Thank you. May I have a few moments with Ensign Casey once he's had a moment to collect himself?
Of
and
course.
then we can have our appointment.
Dr. Burov, please begin your examination. Ensign Casey, I want you to look at me. How are you feeling? Elevated heart rate, temperature rising. I think this is just stress though, rather than shock.
I feel angry.
Yeah, I can imagine you do. If
I'm
it
going
helps
to
in
remain logical for the time being.
If it helps in the slightest, if I thought that you were under severe amounts of psychological distress, I was going to call an end to the program.
Thank you, Doctor. That is relieving to hear.
And I think, oh, yes, see? And also, this is a cup of tea. It was my stipulation that this be an
a blind testing, but only that if afterwards you got a cup of sweet tea. Are you ready to talk to the commander now about your test?
Can I just have a sip of tea first?
No, of course. If you want to talk later, you can always come to sickbay.
Yes, Doctor.
Commander Tresta, Commander Talandra, I will say 5 minutes. He should be okay for the conversation, but please let me know if he throws up or passes out or something.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. And thank you for including me.
You're all dismissed.
Stranger's going to walk over to Casey.
Hi.
Hey. You all right?
Yeah. Can we catch up later?
Of course. And there'll be that. The reach out for their hand.
It's a tighter squeeze. We get the same shot, and it's clearly tighter. Hand is shaking.
Mm-hmm.
As the two of them part, Talandra will step up and pass her pad to Commander Trasta. Then will incline her head and will follow Strange and Burov out of the chamber.
Computer, chairs.
Comfortable chairs appear, and a low table, but it's all still within the holodeck.
Please take a seat, Ensign.
He does so.
You've already been asked this so many times, but you and I have never properly met, so it's a slightly different question coming from me. How are you feeling? You have permission to speak freely, Ensign.
Thank you, Commander. I'm positively overwhelmed with a great and near unabiding fear. I'm shaking a lot. I think that's adrenaline, and that's not going to stop for a while. I feel sick. I feel anxious. I'm battling with something in me that is trying to tell me that this part isn't real, and the overwhelming feeling of relief that it isn't real. I don't know how long it will be until I've properly come to my senses again, so you will need to forgive me, Commander. I'm not at my best self.
I understand that, Ensign. But I'm done. There are no more tests from me today. This is a debriefing, as it were. You are not. You're under no pressure here. Nothing you say will, in any way, jeopardize your career. I suppose punching me in the jaw might do it, but I'm sure you can resist that urge. Ensign.
Commander.
The day will come, and I've seen your service record. And I know that you've faced the unexpected before. I know that you've been on the bridge when Captain Athan has faced the unexpected. The day will come when the unexpected will prove impossible to overcome. We all know that in theory. We all came out of the academy knowing that one day there's a good chance we die out there between the stars. Living it, as I'm sure you now know, is a very different thing.
Yes.
There are things I can't say because there are still conversations that need to happen between myself and your executive officer. What I will say is this: should your career advance, remember that although what you've just experienced did not happen, you should carry that experience with you should you be lucky enough for the day to come that your captain puts that second pip on your collar. you should remember what it felt like to sit down in that chair and watch those escape pods be picked off by the Breen. I don't say these things to torment you, Ensign Casey. This ritual of ours is a cruel one. I can neither justify it, nor will I apologize for it. What I will say is this. Like 1,000 officers before you, you came out of it. And like 1,000 officers before you and after you, you'll move past it. I think it's for Commander Talandra to comment on your specific performance after I've spoken with her myself. But I will be recommending that she give you a few days leave. There's a line between fiction and reality that this particular test crosses. You are not irrational to be haunted by the deaths, however fictitious they may have been, of your comrades and the civilians on board the Smallwood. So take your time. But as a personal note, welcome to the club. I'm sorry the route to get here is so difficult, but you'll never have to go through a test like that again. Of course, Ensign Casey, what I really mean by that is the next time this happens to you, it'll be for real. He offers his hand. Ensign.
Commander.
Holodeck's yours for as long as you need it. I'll take my leave.
He stands in order to see him leave. He sits down in the chair. He brings his knees up to his chest so that his feet are on this very nice plush chair, curls up and just sobs.
Reasonable, to be honest.
Okay. Is he being left to it by Talandra?
I think Talandra is in a situation where she's going to pretty much command no one to go into that holodeck for the rest of the day.
That's his holodeck. This holodeck is now his crying room. Okay. You'll actually find now the scenes as opposed to just the constant Kobayashi Maruing.
Tiny wood.
Yes, Kobayashi, a small wood or a grove.
Oh, I get it.
Because I'm a bastard.
Oh, I get it.
Okay, to be honest, for a bit, this is just down to you all on... Probably the key question is, do we have next a scene with Strange and Casey or a scene with Talandra and Casey at whatever point within... Oh, it becomes rapidly apparent, in fact, to Casey that the Iskandar is still docked at Starbase 220. Lieutenant Zal, Captain Athan, and Commander Talandra never left the ship. He was transported in the night onto the holodeck. And briefings were made to all the other senior staff after the fake briefing that Athan gave.
So can we just break down what's happened to Samuel Casey?
So, Samuel Casey has just been exposed to the Kobayashi Maru, Starfleet's traditional test conducted to try to teach any officer with command potential the lessons of a no-win scenario. The test, as in fact it was presented, was pretty much exactly the same as any traditional Kobayashi Maru. Traditionally, a small freighter called the Kobayashi Maru was stranded in Klingon territory at the time when the Klingons are hostile. The Klingons are no longer hostile. It is designed that no matter what, the crew of the Kobayashi Maru cannot be beamed, cannot be transported off the ship. the Klingons ships will keep on coming, and it is a test in some ways of a commander's ingenuity as to how they tackle it, but it's more important really to see what decisions they make, what their resolve is, and what their judgment is, if and when they realize that they will not be able to save their ship, and probably not the civilians of the Kobayashi Maru. And because, in my opinion, a no-win scenario, if you know that you're going to be tested on a no-win scenario, it doesn't count. I am always of the belief that Starfleet would disguise the Kobayashi Maru. Either young cadets would not know what it meant when they answered the hail of a Kobayashi Maru, or it would be disguised as some other test. And I took a liberty, Mike, of assuming that, if nothing else, Casey missed his final year at Starfleet Academy due to the Dominion War. And thus, even if he had been at that point a candidate for the Kobayashi Maru, never underwent it.
No. In fact, I'm prepared to say that he was never told it as an idea.
I would assume generally that actually, despite it being well known in Trek lore, it is not something that actually gets discussed in universe. It is a closely guarded secret of the Officers Club, because its integrity should be maintained.
In a campaign, a Fate Star Trek campaign that I played in, Izzy and I were both part of the crew for that, and we all had a shared aspect, just like the Kobayashi Maru, because we all did the Maru together in the academy. So anytime a situation was desperate, one was to go, this is just like the Kobayashi Maru, like it would give us that extra edge.
I love that.
What actually happened to Casey was that he went to bed one night, was killed, a copy of him was beamed into a gaslighting chamber where he was for several hours, and then after having been gaslit has now just been left traumatized in a comfy chair. Starfleet's a really ethical organization, and the Federation is fine.
Don't question it. So yes, that is what Casey probably will be able to at least realize over some time.
I think after the initial digesting, just leaving it long enough for, if I'm about to phase back into a reality where the ship is exploding, it will have happened by now. I'm going to enjoy how physical this chair feels. This is probably real. I'm going to experiment with the holodeck door. Go out, look at the corridor, go back in for another hour, cry, then go out again. And then I think the first protocol is going to be Strange.
Okay. You can find Strange presumably in his quarters, as Strange has been given a lot of time off after being told, go lie to and manipulate the shit out of your body. You're muted. Muted.
Yeah, go lie to and traumatize your boyfriend.
Yeah. Okay. Casey sounds the door chime.
And Strange will answer the door.
Hello.
Hey. And he'll gesture for you to come in.
Comes in, goes to his usual spot on whatever couch or sofa there is, because it's Casey. There's a spot that's going to be his spot.
There's a spot that's his spot, and Strange's spot is next to Casey. To the point where, like, they've probably started setting that way around in other places, and it started getting weird if they're ever sitting the other way around.
I take it you've been through that before.
Yeah, I have.
And you had people there to look after you when you came out?
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't do this while you were away.
Yeah, that would have been rough. It's bad enough doing it when you're just at the academy.
I bet. guess so. That's just another final pleasantry of being pulled early into active service.
Yeah, you'd think that being pulled into active service early would mean that you didn't have to do it. That would be enough, but I suppose there is a difference between active service as an ensign and active service in command, which is why they still do it.
You know, I thought I had it. Up until I saw the third ship, I thought I had it.
You did pretty well. I mean, I didn't even get to the point where a third ship showed up on my version.
I wonder what the maximum amount of ships has ever been. I understand it.
Mm.
I think that's all I really want out of anything that I don't like. If I can at least understand it and its purpose, then it's easier to reconcile.
Yeah.
I'm also very well aware of the fact that I have not gone to report to Lieutenant Commander Talandra, because a part of me, despite the fact I know that this scenario was meant to be unwinnable and just to expose parts of me and how I would act under stress, a part of me is convinced I failed it. And of course I failed it. There's no win outcome.
Not really, because there's no such thing as passing it either.
No. But
you can't pass or fail the Kobayashi Maru.
There's one very real point of failure for me. And this one is a point of failure. If your opinion of me has changed by any of the actions that I undertook, that I cannot forgive in myself. I hope that you are in some way. I hope I haven't changed for you.
I can't say my opinion of you hasn't changed, Sam. But not for the worse.
That's a relief.
It's for the better. I know you better now, and have seen more of who you are.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too.
Do you mind if we just
Sandra will lean over and kind of kiss you on the forehead.
He kind of leans himself into Stranger's shoulder. I just want to be here for a little while, if that's okay.
That's fine. That's entirely fine. And he'll shuffle a little closer and put his arm around you.
Oh, I'm so glad that leaving him to die has not ruined your relationship.
I'm really glad you're not
It's
dumping
not the
me.
first time.
It seems like if fate ever gives me an opportunity to leave you to die, I'm
you just take
duty-bound to
it. Exactly. Exactly.
How rare it is to know how a relationship will fail.
With Casey leaving Strange to die. So, the believe, in the first officer's office would probably be the most sensible scene for when eventually, after reviewing all of the data, it is time for a consultation between Commander Talandra and Commander Traister.
Coffee, decaffeinated, soy milk. Commander?
Green tea, please. So, you're in command of Ensign Casey. What are your first impressions?
He composed himself precisely as I predicted he would. There is a defiance to him that he has attempted in many occasions to artificially stifle. But in times of great stress, it is what rises to the surface. His desire to always be the best means that in the face of a no-win situation, he has that quintessentially human desire to, as they say, go down fighting. I was hesitant to put him through this new style form of the test, as I believed he would take it incredibly personally. But I also do not think that is necessarily a bad thing. He takes the victories and defeats of the many as personally to him as if they were his own, which is a trait I have always personally found admirable. Given the outcome of the test, perhaps one of his main flaws is how rapidly he can shift from defiance to despair. But given the presence of a no-win scenario, that is not entirely unreasonable. There have been many who have reacted in far more despairing fashions to the implication of the Kobayashi Maru. What are your findings?
I was very impressed. Decisive, the correct blend of, shall we say, heroics and pragmatics. Fought until the end and then realized that hardest decision of all for Starfleet officer to make, to flee, to sacrifice lives for your own crew, is a difficult decision. A hard balance to strike, and I thought he struck it rather well.
I have noted on your pad the personal implications of the decision he made, which I believe reflected highly on his character.
Certainly. Did you know that there was a tracer on the first Enterprise?
I did not.
There have been tracers in Starfleet since Enterprise NX-01, which means there have been a good 8 generations of tracers who have taken one form or another of the Kobayashi Maru.
I knew of your father, of course, the Admiral.
The old-style test became something of a badge of pride among cadets. For the most part, they kept it quiet, but you knew that most of them knew it was happening. They might have known the name for it or the exact situation, but they knew there was some test that no one passes, and that's the point. And they'd come out of it and go, I finished my Kobayashi Maru, etc., etc. This new form of test is much more cruel, but I think it tests more effectively the sort of thing we're after. Samuel Casey isn't going to be crowing to anyone about finishing his Kobayashi Maru. That is a young man who's been deeply affected by the things he's seen. Holograms or not, he had to watch all those people die. He, like so many people of his cohort came out of the Dominion War. They had to watch a lot of people die. But none of them in command. No, I thought he handled himself with courage and grace, dignity. He did his best to preserve the lives of the civilians, placing his own and those of his crew under risk, which is our general idea as Starfleet officers. And then in the end, he realized the grim calculus that you cannot ultimately sacrifice 150 lives for a dozen. A terrible decision, whichever way you make it.
What do you make, Commander, of his decision to go down with the ship?
Romantic, but given that he, as far as I know, was not aware he was being tested, I can only take it as a genuine one.
Oh no, absolutely, as I said.
I'm of the firm
Prone to
belief that
despair.
captains should be the last to leave their ship, since that is what protocol dictates. Going down with the ship I'm less fond of, but it's a personal choice. But I can see certain advantages if he thought he could keep the ship together for that few more seconds necessary to get those escape pods off. That's why most captains do it. No, I respected it, in short. I respected his whole conduct under the test. Speaking for Starfleet Command, as it is my role to do, I am signing your captain's recommendation for promotion to the rank of Lieutenant Junior Grade. If you agree, here are the papers for you to countersign, and then your captain can make it official.
Given your staunch support and development of this new Kobayashi Maru process, in my letter to you, I requested your presence personally for this test. I have explained before my reasons in the matter that, uniquely of all the ensigns under my care, I believe my ability to be truly impartial regarding the future of Ensign Samuel Casey is difficult for me. I have encouraged him to partake in this examination, but I have never truly felt him ready.
His service record, his ratings warrant a promotion. He has demonstrated grace under pressure. He has demonstrated an instinct for command. There is very little more one could ask from someone looking at that second pip. You should be very proud of your young officer.
I am always proud of him. But pride should not always equal favor.
Oh, well, perhaps it shouldn't. And I don't doubt your professional objectivity, Commander. But there are benefits to knowing an officer well, to having a vested interest in their career. You see things that a more distant commander might not be able to. It's not fair on everyone. There will be ensigns equally talented as Casey who simply have not had the chance to shine. But what it does mean is that every now and then you get these officers who are in the spotlight and they prove themselves. Starfleet will never be perfect and will never pick perfect people. But your ensign, Lieutenant Casey, is a credit to the uniform. And I will include a commendation on his record to Starfleet Command as well.
Thank you, Commander Traister. I will take your recommendation and the captain's under advisement when I make the decision.
All right, well, it's in your hands. You know where to reach me if you have any more questions. I'll write up a full report in the next 48 hours for you.
quite so.
But of course, yours is remarkably thorough.
I appreciate your coming, Commander Traster, and I appreciate the opportunity to meet you.
Oh, I don't get to do nearly enough of these. Plus, a live examination with an objective member of Starfleet Command is the best way of making sure the test is working.
You gave quite the performance, Commander.
There will come a time when I'm a little too old to convincingly play an ensign. Fortunately, that time is not yet upon us. Well, Commander, you've got a lot to think about. Whatever your decision, you have Command's full backing. It's been a pleasure. Look after yourself.
And you.
Traced is off.
Traced out.
I love Trace
And then he just disappears? Was he a hologram all along?
Look, was he fake? No more fake people. I know I'm responsible for some
Hang on,
of
is this another Q episode?
And what's funny about this is we keep killing off Strange in various ways.
Strange has died. Strange is our O'Brien.
He's a chief engineer.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
Adam
an easy
Strange
life.
must suffer.
Yeah, engineers must
Engineer.
suffer. That is their lot in life.
So, I believe next we want to hear from Dr. Burov.
Hello.
Dr. Burov, what would you like to do?
Dr. Burov is going to, having checked in with sickbay, to just drop in their report about the process and how it went, recommend Casey for an up-to-date psychological evaluation, but giving him a clean bill of health from what happened, is going to go to Adina's quarters, because I've decided Adina is off duty, and therefore it shall happen.
Burov gets into Adina's quarters with Adina there.
Yep.
Hi.
Hey,
Hi.
you alright?
No.
Rough day.
You know that secret thing I had to do that I wasn't allowed to go into too much detail about, but it was to do with Ensign Casey.
Yeah.
I didn't care for it.
Oh.
It was a really hard day, and I felt really horrible doing it.
Adina passes you the good wine.
Arkady bypasses the wine and goes for the hug.
Puts the wine down. Hugs.
And it's stupid because I know it was a hologram, but I had to see you get blown up.
Oh.
And it just really got to me, which I guess was helpful because it helped me to play my part as traumatized doctor in terrible situation. But the whole point of the test is that we all have to make stupid, horrible decisions and people will die. And Sam made a really brave decision today, and I hate that he had to do it, and I don't want you to get blown up and die.
Hey. I don't want me to get blown up and die either, so...
No. It's just that you're the closest person in my whole life to me. You're all the family I have. And I don't know what I would do. I'm not prepared for this like you all. I don't sit on the bridge and make jokes about things being blown up and go, oh, I'll be fine, because you might not be. You were in a crash, and the commander gets shot a lot, and Strange had to go to crazy person rehab, and I just...
Candace is going to hug Arkady just that bit tighter. Hey. You say that like any of us are actually prepared for it.
I know today I learned that I'm not prepared for it. Hey, you know how we were making plans to take that holiday?
Yeah.
Can we make those firm plans to take that holiday?
Firm plans and I think soon plans?
Mm-hmm. No, give me my wine.
There you go. And they'll pass over the glass. Arm around the shoulder. So because you can kind of lean into them, sip their wine, and cry.
Arkady becomes a small and drinks their wine.
So the setup I have in my head is, so they've got the two wine embers sat on something comfy, whether it's a couch or the end of a bed. Yeah, let's say a sofa. There's an arm round Arkady, a wine bottle nearby, and a box of tissues also nearby. So Adina can keep passing Arkady tissues and occasionally refilling their glass.
See, I think it's cute because I imagine the dialogue cuts out and, and it's just the pull out to them. Because Arkady has a trait that I have, which is very useful, which is they cry really easily. But when they're around people who, know them really well, who can make them laugh while they're crying and point out how ridiculous it is that they're crying so much, then they will shift from crying to laughing quite quickly while crying, but being like, yeah, I know, I'm a mess, look at me, which is...
Yeah, you're a mess, have another tissue, do you need more wine?
Okay. Poor Burov takes their damn time and gets the cry they so thoroughly deserve.
Oh, yeah.
Talandra. Does Talandra want to have a conversation?
Zoom in the back of Talandra's head. Ensign Casey's quarters.
Come in. Stands. Commander.
I trust you are somewhat recovered from your test.
Yes, thank you, Commander. Can I get you any drinks?
I am quite well, thank you.
Okay.
I noticed you have not accepted the proposed extra leave that has been submitted.
No, not yet, Commander. I had wanted to... This might sound odd. I want to make sure, if I am to take extra leave, that there's nothing unsaid or uncertain in my mind. Frankly, if I was to take extra leave right now, I would just be overthinking it. And maybe that's going to be the fate of any leave I take in the immediate, but I think I need time to process before I can have time to unpack it, if that makes any degree of sense.
Some. You have experienced a great deal of trauma in your life, Samuel. A complicated childhood, a rushed academy period, watching the death of your mentor, the loss of your dear friend, and subsequent struggles with Lieutenant Strange and your relationship.
That is all fair to say.
I am sorry that today was an additional weight. There are certain candidates for the lieutenancy who should experience hard decisions. You have already experienced a great deal of hardship, but I believed at the time few of those were decisions rather than situations foisted upon you.
Again, fair to say. I agree with that assessment entirely.
My father often spoke very highly of your capacity, but commented on your hesitancy to take command of certain situations. I believed his reasoning was fundamentally flawed,
in that he failed to take into account the fact that you were very young and intimidated by his intellect, as well as relative status in Starfleet. I believe to him it would never have occurred that he was a imposing figure.
I think we can both agree he certainly was.
I believe that I have treated you very unfairly, Samuel. And I wish to apologize as your mentor, if not as the executive officer of the Iskandar. Fundamentally, the captain has granted me final say over your promotion or not. And given, despite the fact that you are on paper eminently qualified for a promotion and have been for some time, I have been hesitant to encourage your examination to the final degree. Because I was attempting to behave in the manner I thought Commander Varen would. But I failed to take into account, in my calculations, the flaws in his. You are not a child, Samuel. You were not when my father met you, and you certainly are not now. You have experienced more in your short career than many commanders will have in their lifetimes. Commander Traister told me I should be very proud of your achievements. Today and in your service record previously. But I did not need him to tell me in order for it to be true. And despite my judgment telling me that you are not ready for this position, I believe there is a part of me who may never think you will be ready. Because to be a Starfleet officer is to be always at risk. But that is not a risk that I can shield you from. And Starfleet needs more officers like you. Which is why I am on my way to submit my paperwork to the captain, approving your promotion to the rank of Lieutenant Junior Grade. This is not, of course, contingent on your taking leave or having time off. In fact, if tomorrow you come to me and say that you wish to resign your commission for good, you shall retire from Starfleet as a Lieutenant Junior Grade, I assure you.
Thank you.
Well done, Samuel. This promotion is a long time coming. But I shall leave you to your evening. I am still on duty.
When I do take my leave, we should probably go climbing sometime. I'd like to use the holodeck for something good.
On the contrary, Ensign Casey. Sorry. Lieutenant Casey. I believe today you used the holodeck to extraordinary good. My office door is always open should you need to talk.
Thank you, Commander.
Landra leaves. She submits the paperwork. Athan obviously has no complaints. We already know pretty much what Athan thinks of Casey's progression from last time, aka give the kid a fucking break life. However, when Talandra returns to her quarters, there is waiting her a small light. Izzy looks like she's going to reach through the screen and throttle me. A small light on her personal computer, showing that she has a message awaiting her. It is a letter. It's dated probably like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. It has not been delivered immediately. And in fact, she's seen a lot of the hallmarks of this before. She has seen what happens with letters which have made it through the Cardassian Union's censorship protocol to cause the delay. The first thing that it will become very apparent, this is not from Kalev Elrad. It is not from the same inbox. Lieutenant Commander Talandra, USS Iskandar. I must begin this letter with apologies. Apologies that I write to you as a stranger, apologies that I write so late, and apologies that this letter cannot contain what you might have hoped. I had expected this duty to fall to Glyn Giatti of the Trador, but she and the ship have been kept on assignment far from Cardassia Prime. I do not think this an accident. I get ahead of myself. My name is Denavia Elrad. Before my father's imprisonment, he left instructions with us how to conduct his affairs in his absence. This included instructions to send you word if there was any news, but until lately, I had heard nothing since his arrest. This changed 2 days ago. One of our news outlets published an article exposing how Central Command had learnt of and then immediately suppressed knowledge of the Wayfarer facility. This has sent ripples through Cardassian society, while centuries-old debate has sprung up of how we must confront historic injustices and the morality of suppressing them. Yesterday, Father was publicly charged not only with disseminating classified files it is apparent refer to the Wayfarer facility, but also falsifying some of them. Central Command has claimed the situation to have been misrepresented, if not completely fabricated, and Father stands accused as the architect both of these falsehoods and of allowing other sensitive information to fall into the hands of civilians. There is not a court date yet, and I fear one will be long coming. I know Central Command would prefer Father confess, and I expect them to be making this clear to him. I wish I were the bearer of better news. We are a proud people and a proud family, but if my deductions are correct, you worked with him on the matter for which he now stands accused. I must entreat you, Commander. If my father has no allies within Central Command, or if his allies cannot or will not help him, then his only hope lies with Starfleet friends. He needs your help. I regret that I must humiliate myself with such a request, but my father is the last member of my family left from which I am not estranged. He is a good man and stands for a future of Cardassia that meets your Federation's interests. Your diplomats will need men like him free and listened to if you are to get what you want from us. I will send you more news if I have it. I include how you may reach me in turn, though I would not be certain that I will receive anything you send. But you must do what you can. Yours sincerely, Denavia Elrad, University of Kulak.
I think the episode ends on Talandra messaging the captain.
Okay. Are you open to a mid-credit sequence, Izzy?
I definitely am open to a mid-credit sequence.
Arkady Burov. You're in your quarters. You are doing whatever Arcady does. It has been a normal day, maybe a few days later.
Gotta come out the shower.
And you have an incoming subspace visual transmission.
On screen?
And a young man appears. He is wiry, blonde, kind of handsome, a little bit of a facial scar going on. And you, of course, recognize
Vitaly.
Arkady. You do not look so happy to see me.
Well, I expected never to see you again.
Yes, well, I had expected that you were going to leave and never, ever call our poor mother ever again.
Do not bring mother into this.
I am... Do you not want to know how she is doing?
Of course I want to know how she is doing.
Well, then if you want to know how she is doing, then maybe you and I are ever again in your life going to have a conversation.
She threw me out same as father did.
Yes. Well, you made your decisions. And you made decisions. There are consequences for these things. We pay these prices that we choose. I do not have time to be bickering with you.
You called me.
I did not call you to bicker. It's not pressingly important. It's just I hear things. I hear that one moment maybe you are missing, the next you are alive. It is Starfleet matters. I would be... I want to be making sure that you are not going to be giving these people your life, Arkady.
We were hardly missing.
Information is slow to reach us. I'm simply saying that it is not as if Mother would particularly like to lose another child.
No, I cannot win with you people. Either I do not fight for the freedom of the miners and then I am a traitor, or I go off and live a relatively safe life, in which case I'm dying for Starfleet.
Relatively safe, it is still it is a life which has its dangers. And
I'm much safer aboard an Intrepid class starship than you are aboard one of your rickety ships.
My ship is not... Perhaps this was a waste of time.
No.
It's simply, no, I do not have any... I have a job coming up. That is all. Just work to be doing in a couple of days. I have good people with me, 2 crew. Lara, Evelina, they're good people.
Well, I'm very happy for you.
I'm simply saying I am going to be away for a little while. And life out in the miners is not always safe. Mining expeditions can be dangerous. I think we're going to hit a rich seam. Who knows what will happen? I intend to be careful, but you intend to be careful out, on your Starfleet ship, and then you go missing for time. All I am saying is that maybe it would be worth you thinking about at some point in your life. Maybe...
Now you have the ratted cat on your ship. I've told you they're bad luck.
Maybe Mother would like to at some point hear from you.
Vitaly?
Yes?
Not once in 5 years have you called me to tell me that you're going on a job.
Yes, well, you went missing that one time, so maybe it occurred to me that possibly you would die as well, and then that leaves... Who does that leave?
I don't know how many brothers we have left.
No.
You're not going to do
Not
something.
doing anything stupid. I'm going to do some mining. It is just mining. Things explode. It is not exactly... My ship may not be rickety, but it is not best cargo hold.
Well,
Going to be fine, but life is short.
Unpredictable. How
Okay.
is she? Is she?
She is... I wish we could get a better air processor. I don't think her lungs are doing great.
You need to make sure that after the quarterly filter change that you wash them.
Do not always have the time to do it, and also you wash them what it really needs is replacing.
Do you need me to send you anything?
I don't know, talk to her about it. Or just find a way to send something. You have friends in Starfleet, they can send something.
I don't think she wants to hear from me.
Maybe you take care of her anyway. Look, everything will no doubt be fine, and you and I can probably still never talk to each other again after this, but...
Yes, but I'd like to know that you're there for me to not talk to.
Going to be fine. I'm just going to be away from home for a while. That is what is different.
Okay. Well, be safe. Be smart.
Be safe.
Be reasonable.
I'm always those things, brother. Right. Anyway, that is all. So you carry on with your shiny life and its carpets.
You carry on with your rickety life and its cats.
I'm going to get rid of that cat before we go on job. There's no place for cat. Martha could do with the help. Anyway, goodbye, Arkady.
Goodbye, Vitaly.
So, and yeah, so probably the camera at this point pans back, leaves the Iskandar at Starbase 220, moves across dozens and dozens of star systems, and it ends with a shot of a rickety little ship, which is the exact same opening shot of Trouble and Strife. The timelines align, and I end the episode.
So angry.
Sorry, I had leftover picking on you to do.
So angry. I didn't do this to be picked on.
Right, thank you very much. Thank you, Mike, for suffering through the Kobayashi Maru. I know you have to be at work tomorrow. We're
I'm
sorry.
not sorry.
I'm not sorry.
I'm
Actually,
not sorry
I'm
in the
not. I lied
slightest.
to
No
you.
regret whatsoever.
Thank you, Luke, for NPCing for me. It was great
Phenomenal.
to have Tracer there as a character. It was great to have a character there to be a Starfleet instructor conducting the test. And as originally anticipated, oh my God, Cat, leave my lights alone. It was it was definitely necessary for us to have another body on the bridge rather than just poor Burov screaming at the engineering console. Leave my shit alone.
I want to say actually, so obviously I knew everything that was going on. I still felt really tense about it. I still
Yeah, same.
wanted to
Like,
help
wait,
Tracer.
we all knew that this was Kobayashi Maru.
No, we didn't.
I say we.
private group chat for
I'm
a
trying
while.
to gesture at people who are not Mike.
Mike,
share
did you not
mean
figure it out?
pictures of
When
you.
did you figure it out?
Yeah, when did you clock?
There was a sweet spot where, upon the arrival of the third ship, but before anyone mentioned it in chat, where I realized what was going on. But that was deep in the game.
I'm so glad.
That was
Nice.
so deep in the game.
As I said,
Very
it was
nice.
a textbook Kobayashi Maru with
It really
a
was.
civilian ship drifting over the border of a tense enemy and having to weigh the political implications as well as the no-win scenario of rescuing the civilian ship. So I thought there was the possibility that even if I shifted the Breen, swapped the Klingons for the Breen, I thought maybe you'd guess.
With the added spice of sending Adam off to die.
Yeah!
I'm so glad you did that. Like, I was hoping that there would be an excuse for Adam to die.
What was that?
I actually thought that he clocked at the end of Act 1.
No.
I thought you did. I
Oh.
thought that you clocked when we went to break. I thought that you were just being polite.
No.
Yeah, no, I thought that it was still.
For everyone's... one of the lies that Kath has been telling me was that this was going to be a Cantos-centric episode. Knowing that I'm, if nothing, an accommodating soul, And so I was like, Kath, I am your instrument. I want to help Kantos look cool. You tell me what you need. If there's anything you want scripted, I'll fucking do it, man. You just tell me. Let's let Kantos shine.
Yeah.
Kantos doesn't get enough screen time. And
Meanwhile,
when...
I'm told
Yeah.
the lie is going to be that this is a Kantos-centric episode. It's not.
I got a
was-
Kobayashi Maru, the player, as well as the character.
In the
Or
meantime, all the scripting really was Luke's.
There was nothing like the ensign's little spiel at the beginning helped me take away any kind of he was not on my radar as a plant.
Yes.
I was just like, oh fuck, I guess this is because the idea of Casey's lieutenancy exam had been floated, and I was like, oh fuck, this is the event that will trigger him being promoted. It was never this is the test, it was this is the event. And I was like, okay, let's roll for it. Let's see what Captain Casey does. And yeah, only when the third
Leaves his
ship appeared, I
boyfriend
was
to
like,
die.
oh, I know what this is now, and so I can lean into that, which was again perfect because I have had a horrible hour and a half.
Yeah, so I made it very clear the reason why Dr. Borov is there is because this is a mean test, and you need the chief medical officer there to go, nah, this is having a damaging psychological effect.
Too far.
I need to
Too
pull them
far.
out."
Abort.
No, but I need you all to know that I sent Mike a message at one point when I think he was just sat there sort of doing this. I was like, Mike, honey, you okay? Like, I felt OC kind of bad.
Oh wow, this just is indicative of just how mean historically I've been to Mike, because I was like, I've shot him in the face before and I'll do it again.
By the way, I do not know for whose benefit that personal log at the beginning was. Why would Trace to record that? Who's that for? Is it to do that, getting him into character? Like, okay, you were an ensign some time ago.
What's my motivation?
What is my motivation?
Clearly,
method
Jonas
actor.
Tracer is the sort of man that kind of enjoys the role play of it.
I had to that was a reason why his meeting with Vance was in a crowded room, because Vance obviously would have known the truth, but because it was in the crowded security room, he had to play along. Yeah.
I can envision like when Tracer's doing that log as he's boarding the Iskandar. Maybe that's also Casey and Strange coming back on holiday too, and so Casey literally overhears him making the log.
Ah, maybe.
And
Oh,
so
Yeah, that works.
It's deep.
Oh, it's a full-on grip.
I love it.
Yes.
I love that. The camera's pulled out and it was some quick
For a
thinking
while, even
trick
Strange is
part.
convinced until he gets told that new ensign isn't actually an ensign.
It's the kind of detail that when you rewatch it and you see Casey in the background, you're like, oh.
Also, I love the fact that Luke decided to name him Tracer of his own volition, not knowing that I'd already named an admiral that.
I thought they were. Yeah, it was only when you said I know the admiral, and I was like, huh. I didn't. I remembered when you said it, but I couldn't remember the context of Admiral Tracer either.
Both of us just big Venture Brother fans.
I like that. I like there's always a Tracer in Starfleet. That was a very good
that was
kind of
cute.
tying that up.
They're a thing now. They're this dynasty of stuff.
Always a Tracer to get Kobayashi Maru. But at least I killed your boyfriend rather than had him be taken into captivity by Breen, because Breen, they're slavers. We don't know much about them. We know they're slavers. Also, I actually think you all deserve a very serious thumbs up. You did not lose your shit at the thought.
No, I think chat had it worse off than we did.
Chat were much worse.
I didn't. Chats are allowed to. I didn't look. I was too busy to look at chat. But it's canon. It's canonical.
Lou
This
nearly
was
got
established.
Lou got caught up in the autofilter for saying thoughts in an aggressive tone.
I take my Breen thoughts very seriously.
You should. Thoughts are no
love-
joke.
I have the benefit of I don't
understand. There.
I don't understand this particular bit of slang, so it's not funny to me.
I've got some
the
images
thing
to
that's
send you once we're done.
Anyway,
It got panned. It's canon. DS9 did this in the 90s. Anyway.
if we are quite done with the thoughts, time to move on to a different set of thoughts. Go with it. The trash patron's now been called Thought. Deal with it.
Bold move.
I'm getting notifications we've lost 8 Patreons.
One
I'll
of
be
them's
back.
me.
How many have we gained?
40.
Oh,
Weird.
Wow.
Right, so I believe that I promised some of y'all another round of Praxis Descends gives you important and absolutely true facts about the trash patrons. So, for a special moment of enjoyment, please, everyone please get your love hearts and trash bags ready to give thanks to these people who give us their support at patreon.com/itucrew. These people can also be found on our Discord, which is found where Discords are found. But I can't tell you how to do that, but it's where that people have a natter, and I am reliably informed some pretty epic memes were shared today. So that's cool. Nevertheless, please remember that everything I tell you now about this list of people is absolutely true, and I will be brooking no argument. Eligos Alexander, infamously, the UN Security Council, they petitioned the UN Security Council to be made Emperor of the Moon, apparently bringing very compelling evidence, as the answer is still pending. Dr. Liz Murphy gained the title of Doctor for being the only non-binary regeneration of the famous Time Lord, the Doctor, falling somewhere between 5 and 8. Michael Kreese visited Innsmouth before that hack Lovecraft made it a hipster's paradise. He met his first love there, and despite their completely impronounceable name, the two still communicate to this day. Caffeine Kitty holds the Guinness World Record for combat crawling over rich tea biscuits. The previous world record holder attempted to regain the record, but was disqualified for replacing a whole mile of the record with digestives. Andrei Cherepnin is such a hardcore Trekkie that he starred in a student production of a very famous Andorian opera. Local papers reported the performance as deeply sensual, but utterly baffling. Lucas Justinian was once so immersed in writing his book that he lived as a book for several months. He was only turfed out from his papery brethren when the Birmingham Public Library was demolished. To this day, this is the only thing that explains his hatred of the new library put in its place. Joe can exist in the image of any British royal, and totally at random. Once they ended up in the middle of a secret Cobra meeting, but most of the time they end up in pockets of random people internationally. Their favourite place to visit is Australia. Joanna Marsh once wrestled a killer whale. It was on a dare, but to be honest, it was the orca who dared them, and it was part of a ruse to impress the whale's ex-girlfriend. The two remain firm friends. Diego de los Reyes is part oak tree and will sometimes go visit his father, who shelters a nice park bench in a public path somewhere in Utah. It is said that any who visit the shady patch will have a particularly lucky day, although none have proved this. Dr. Lou Sutcliffe only got their PhD so that they could be a famous super scientist. To this day, they await their letter of confirmation from the Guild of Calamitous Intent, who say that once they've gotten a cool hero name, their antagonist will be assigned. Matter pending. Araloki claims that his best day was when he found a $5 in his pocket, met two people who liked his coat, and ended up under a pile of golden retriever puppies. This, however, is a lie. Socky claims that the ultimate sandwich includes 5 slices of white bread, a jar of Marmite, ham and apples, and the wishes of 3 children. She has yet to explain how this forms a good sandwich. Red Fox designs apartments for fairies looking to upsize from acorns and toadstools. The company has a name, but unfortunately no one is allowed to use it for contractual fae reasons. This makes marketing somewhat tricky. Henry Prestige was the model for a very popular JRPG character, but not the one you think. No, not that one either. Yes, that's right. It's Ness from Nintendo's 1994 game Earthbound. It is said that his face would inspire Andrew Hussey to create the cult classic Homestuck. Mike Kilburn knows what he did. When approached by the devil at a crossroad one misty midnight, Helena Handbasket was challenged to a musical concert of his choosing. The fact that he walked away means that he won the bout, but to this day he has not lifted the devil's golden kazoo again. Amy C. once helped Neil Gaiman change a tyre on his car while he was stranded on the side of the M42 on a drizzly October. When she refused compensation for her time, he promised to write her into one of his stories. Only she knows which one. James Muffy Malloy holds the Connecticut State Championship title of Celtic Dancing and Highland Games. His dear friend Elspeth tells me that his dancing is certainly something, but boy does he know how to toss a caber. Mike Fielding, aka Evil Mike, has a degree in evil from the University of Central London. It was a dual honours with English literature.
his research project was on the topic of evil in popular works of fiction, and he predicted that J.K. Rowling was both a fictional character and the embodiment of written tedium. And Michael Bowman, aka Good Mike, was a roommate of Evil Mike's while he was doing his masters at the same time in Gooditude. The two rarely crossed paths, but Mr. Bowman would always ensure there was milk in the fridge, and always did his fair share of the washing up. And that has been your absolutely true facts about the followers of the Trash Patron at patreon.com/itucrew. I will accept no complaints as to the veracity of the things I've said, for I know, and we all know, they are all absolutely true. We thank you for watching this adventure of Star Trek Iskandar. And for those of you who are fans of such things, and especially of many of the faces here, and of this channel in particular, you can see the first adventure of our Blades in the Dark campaign, The Gentlemen Strangers, starting at 4 p.m. British Standard Time this Sunday. And a new episode of Star Trek Iskandar will be with you next Tuesday at the same time, title pending.
Yay, it's next week.